Chapter 3287, Jian Wushuang and Silver Wolf. Silver Wolf. Before you entered the Blood Wave Temple, you didn't even dare to show your face in front of the Heavenly Sword Marquis for fear of being targeted and killed by him. You're not as good as the 9 Temple Saintess. Now that you've come out of the Blood Wave Temple and saw that the Heavenly Sword Marquis hasn't broken through to become Principal's Masters, you've become arrogant? What a joke! Underworld Emperor looked at Silver Wolf. His face was full of mockery. Upon hearing Underworld Emperor's words, Silver Wolf's face suddenly changed. Before entering the Blood Wave Temple, not only him, but all the experts of the 3 Saint Realms in the Blood Wave Realm were extremely afraid of Jian Wushuang. No one dared to show their faces in front of Jian Wushuang. Even outside the Blood Wave Temple, Silver Wolf had waited until Jian Wushuang had entered the Blood Wave Temple to fight for the last Blood Wave token. Everyone knew this, but now, Emperor Ming had said it in front of everyone, which made Silver Wolf feel embarrassed. Humph, what a joke! Why should I be afraid of him? Silver Wolf snorted. You know very well whether I'm afraid or not. Emperor Ming sneered. He wanted to say something, but Jian Wushuang, who had been standing silently by the side, stopped him with a wave of his hand. Silver Wolf. Jian Wushuang opened his mouth and looked over. Congratulations on breaking through to become a Principal's Master. Silver Wolf was shocked. He did not expect Jian Wushuang to congratulate him first. They did not have any friendship, only a great enmity. Such a congratulations would not be good. Sure enough, Jian Wushuang continued, it said that the Supreme Principal's Master is far more powerful than the Immortal Saint. Now that you've broken through, your strength must be much stronger than before, right? Nonsense. The Principal's Master and the Immortal Saint are 2 completely different levels. Of course, the gap is huge, Silver Wolf said before asking, Heavenly Sword Marquis, what are you trying to say? Nothing. I'm just curious how much stronger you are now that you've become a Principal's Master. That's why I want to fight you head-on, Jian Wushuang said indifferently. His words were extremely calm. However, as soon as he said that, the entire void instantly quieted down. Many people looked at Jian Wushuang with astonishment. Although Jian Wushuang was the focus of everyone's attention previously, they only looked at him with surprise and disdain because he had not broken through. But now they looked at him as if they were looking at a fool. Yes, they were looking at a fool. After all, although the Immortal Saint was only 1 step away from the Principal's Master, the difference was like the difference between heaven and earth. After all, the power of the Principal's Master's will was too strong. It was almost impossible for the Immortal Saint to make up for it. In the history of the Divine Beginning Realm, there had been countless talented experts, many of whom were enough to shock the world. Similarly, there were also many who were able to cross ranks to challenge the Principal's Master. However, they were only at the level of a true saint. It was impossible for a true saint to challenge a Principal's Master. At least in the history of the Divine Beginning Realm, there had never been an immortal saint who could defeat a Principal's Master. It was impossible for him to even fight a Principal's Master head-on. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Jian Wushuang knew this, but he still took the initiative to challenge Silver Wolf. Was he not a fool? Heavenly Sword Marquis, what did you just say? Silver Wolf looked at Jian Wushuang with a strange smile. Brother Heavenly Marquis. Emperor Ming and Di Hao also looked over. Among them, Emperor Ming said directly, Brother Heavenly Marquis, you don't have to pay attention to him. At most, you can let him be proud for a while. If he dares to be presumptuous again, I, Brother Gung Hao, will help you teach him a good lesson. Di Hao also nodded slightly. Apparently, both of them thought that Jian Wushuang was a little impulsive to take the initiative to challenge the Principal's Master. After all, they were both Principal's Masters now and knew how powerful the Principal's Master was. However, after hearing the Underworld Emperor's words, Jian Wushuang just shook his head and smiled. It doesn't matter. Since I dare to take the initiative to challenge him, I naturally have a certain degree of confidence. You two just watch in peace. Underworld Emperor and Di Hao looked at each other. Although they were still frowning, since Jian Wushuang had said so, they would not stop him. Moreover, They knew how strong Jian Wushuang's life-saving ability was. After breaking through to Principal's master, Silver Wolf might be able to crush Jian Wushuang, but it was almost impossible to kill him. Therefore, they could rest assured that Jian Wushuang would make a move. At this moment, the smile on Silver Wolf's face grew wider, and a trace of killing intent emerged from the bottom of his heart. Heavenly Sword Marquis and the 3 Saint Realms have been at each other's throats for a long time. The highest level officials of the 3 Saint Realms all want to kill him, but they have been unable to kill him in the Blood Wave realm, but that was before. The battle strength in the Blood Wave realm was only at the Saint realm, so any battle strength above the Principal's master level would be limited. But now, we Principal's masters who have made a breakthrough in the Blood Wave realm are not limited in strength at all. With my current strength, I have a chance to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis with all my strength. Of course, the premise is that he doesn't use space-time teleportation and Emperor Ming and Di Hao don't help him. Silver Wolf narrowed his eyes. He believed that he now had the battle strength to kill Jian Wushuang, but he did not want to kill Jian Wushuang in the beginning because Jian Wushuang's life-saving ability was too strong. In addition, Emperor Geng and Emperor Hao were obviously on Jian Wushuang's side. However, it was different now because Jian Wushuang had taken the initiative to challenge him, which gave him a chance to fight Jian Wushuang face-to-face. Moreover, Jian Wushuang would never choose to use space-time teleportation to escape in the beginning. This gave him a perfect opportunity to kill Jian Wushuang. Although Jian Wushuang's divine power was vast and his chances of success were slim, what if he succeeded? Although I'm one of the top geniuses in the Life and Death Saint realm and have reached the Principal's master realm, I still can't enter the highest level of the Life and Death Saint realm. However, the highest level of the Life and Death Saint realm values Heavenly Sword Marquis so much that even the Saint Master has been paying attention to him. If I can kill Heavenly Sword Marquis again, it will definitely bring me closer to the highest level, and I might even be favored by the Saint Master. Silver Wolf clenched his hands at the thought of this. His heart became incomparably excited. Chapter 3288. The Master of Principles, Silver Wolf. Kill him. You must seize this opportunity to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. Silver Wolf looked at Jian Wushuang with a fierce look, like a beast ready to come out of its cage. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you asked for it? If you lose or die in my hands, don't blame me, the Principal's master, for bullying an immortal saint like you. Of course not. So many people here have witnessed me taking the initiative to challenge you. Even if I die in your hands, it's my own fault. It has nothing to do with you, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Well, then let me see where you get the courage to take the initiative to challenge me. Silver Wolf's voice was cold and echoed in the surrounding void. At the same time, the tyrannical aura of the Principal's master realm on his body also spread out in all directions, also unscrupulously spread out in all directions. Previously, Silver Wolf's aura had been somewhat restrained, but now that it had completely erupted, the strength of this aura caused the expressions of the surrounding experts to change. Too strong, Principal's master. Just this aura alone is enough to make an ordinary immortal saint lose the courage to resist. Looks like this Heavenly Sword Marquis is going to be unlucky. Humph, even if he's unlucky, it's his own fault. How dare the immortal saint challenge the Principal's master? Many experts were whispering among themselves. Of course, they did not think highly of Jian Wushuang. After all, the gap between their levels was obvious. In their opinion, this battle would at least be the result of Jian Wushuang being trampled on. On the contrary, the experts who had already broken through to the Principal's master now had a change of character. They were also curious as to why Jian Wushuang dared to challenge Principal's masters as a Saint Realm expert. The surrounding people had already retreated and made way for a huge battlefield. Jian Wushuang and Silver Wolf stood at the center of the battlefield. Countless gazes were fixed on them. They were all looking forward to the battle between the two of them. Heavenly Sword Marquis, don't think that you can disregard the Principal's master just because you have some talent. Today, I will let you know what a real Principal's master is and how big the gap between the Principal's master and the immortal saint is. Silver Wolf sneered. The aura emitted by his voice became stronger and stronger. Cut the crap, let's fight, Jian Wushuang said indifferently. Kill! Silver Wolf did not hesitate anymore. He suddenly rushed forward like a shooting star. A ghostly silver light flashed and suddenly appeared in front of Jian Wushuang like a silver moon. Then, a cold silver spear pierced through the void and stabbed toward Jian Wushuang's throat. This spear was incredibly fast, but its power was also terrifying. Just the sound of the spear piercing through the void made the hearts of countless experts palpitate. This spear had completely surpassed the level of the immortal saint. Logically speaking, the immortal saint should not be able to block it. However, in the face of this spear, Jian Wushuang still had a smile on his face. The Blood Mountain sword behind him had already been unsheathed, and he casually waved his sword. The sword light flashed and struck the spear tip, and then the power burst out. Clang! With a crisp sound, the silver light danced and the sword essence spread out. But then, a silver ghost-like figure directly retreated backward. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. He stood firm and revealed the shocked face of Silver Wolf. How could it be? Silver Wolf stared at Jian Wushuang in surprise. You are just an immortal saint, but how could you be so powerful? I used 100% of my strength, but in the face of a head-on collision, I was actually at a disadvantage? Silver Wolf indeed felt incredulous. And when the surrounding spectators saw Silver Wolf's figure fly backward, they immediately cried out in surprise. Silver Wolf was actually repelled? How is this possible? Silver Wolf is a true principles master. Logically speaking, his strength should be able to completely crush the immortal saint, but in a head-on collision with Heavenly Sword Marquis, he was actually at a disadvantage? Did Silver Wolf just break through and not fully control his strength? Or did he not use his full strength just now? No, Silver Wolf should have used his full strength and used the power of the Principles Master. But if nothing goes wrong, Heavenly Sword Marquis might be stronger in terms of strength. Don't forget, he is a special life form. The experts on the field were discussing. Silver Wolf stared at Jian Wushuang with cold eyes. Heavenly Sword Marquis, it seems that I was too careless. Indeed, you're a special life form, and I'm afraid you're very strong among special life forms. Before, you just broke through to rank 7 true saint and your strength was already comparable to that of an invincible saint. Now, after a month in the Bloodwave Palace, your divine power has greatly increased and you've reached the limit of an immortal saint. It's normal for you to be comparable to the Principles Master in terms of strength. Hearing Silver Wolf's words, the surrounding people also came to a sudden realization. You're not stupid. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, which was a tacit agreement. Indeed, as a special life form, his strength was much stronger than that of other cultivators of the same level. Even for a special life form of the initial level like the Saint Devil Son, as long as he reached the limit of the immortal saint, his strength should be close to that of an ordinary Principles Master. Jian Wushuang, on the other hand, was a perfect life form standing at the top, much stronger than an initial stage special life form. Once he reached the top of the immortal saint, he would be comparable to an ordinary Principles Master in terms of the most basic power, or perhaps even stronger. Because of this, he had just defeated the Silver Wolf with a casual sword strike. Of course, this was also because the Silver Wolf had yet to use the power of his will. The Principles Master. The reason why he was far stronger than the immortal saint was not because of his basic strength, but because of the power of his will. Silver Wolf, I'm going to use the power of my will. The gazes of the surrounding experts were focused on the Silver Wolf, and at this moment, a special power surged out from the Silver Wolf's body. This power was the power of will. Then, Silver Wolf attacked again. Silver light flashed, and a cold spear flew through the void, whistling toward Jian Wushuang's head. It was also a cold and sharp spear, but with the addition of the power of will, the power of the spear suddenly increased by dozens of times. Dozens of times? What kind of concept was that? This is the power of the complete willpower of the Principles Master. It's too powerful, too terrifying. It's much, much stronger than the willpower we barely used after swallowing divine power. This is the true Principles Master. The countless experts around also sighed. Chapter 3289. He was not a principal's master, but he was better than a principal's master. After using the power of his will, Silver Wolf finally unleashed the true strength of a principal's master. The spear, which was whistling and thrusting forward, spun with a monstrous air wave and formed a huge dark vortex, as if it was going to swallow Jian Wushuang completely. When the dark vortex appeared in front of Jian Wushuang also made a move. He also casually slashed out with his sword. At the same time, Jian Wushuang also used the principal's power that he had mastered. The sword light was like ink, and it immediately struck the huge dark vortex. This time, there was no sound, but the dark vortex had already collapsed. From the large amount of black airflow, a figure retreated in a sorry state. This person was Silver Wolf again. It would be understandable if the first time Silver Wolf was pushed back by Jian Wushuang because he did not use the power of his will and the divine power of his principal's master, but now, Silver Wolf had used the power of his will to fully display his battle strength. On such a basis, he was still at a disadvantage in a head-on fight with Jian Wushuang. This was unacceptable to everyone present. How is this possible? This is impossible. The principal's master can't defeat an immortal saint with his power? Many people looked at Jian Wushuang in disbelief. Silver Wolf was completely dumbfounded. He stared at Jian Wushuang with his eyes wide open. You have broken through to become the principal's master? A principal's master? No, not. Jian Wushuang shook his head. Then how could you be so strong? You've clearly mastered a complete set of the power of will. Silver Wolf said in a low voice. What a joke! Can only a principal's master master the power of will? Or can only a principal's master master a complete set of principles? Jian Wushuang said with a chuckle. Silver Wolf was stunned, but he immediately understood. You have perfectly mastered a principle, and your divine power has clearly reached the limit of the immortal saint. You have fulfilled all the requirements for breaking through to become a principal's master. Is it because you're a special life form that you can't break through? The surrounding people immediately understood when they heard this. That was right. As long as one completely comprehended a principle, one could obtain a portion of the power of will. However, this did not mean that only the principal's master could grasp the power of will. There were some extremely special immortal saints. Although they grasped the principles, due to various reasons, they were unable to break through and become the principal's master. However, they could already use this power of will to kill their enemies. However, such people were very rare. After all, ordinary cultivators could easily break through to become principal's masters as long as they had comprehended the principles and accumulated their divine power to the limit. If they could break through, no one would choose to stay at the immortal saint realm. Because of this, the experts present had almost forgotten that there was such a special immortal saint. It was not until now that Jian Wushuang revealed his strength that everyone came to a realization. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. It turns out that Heavenly Sword Marquis has mastered the principles and obtained a portion of the power of will. No wonder. I thought it was strange. Even an ordinary invincible saint could break through to become a principal's master after entering the Blood Wave Temple. It should be impossible for an incredible genius like him to fail. It turns out that he has fulfilled all the conditions to break through to a principal's master. The reason why he can't break through is because of the special life form. Although a special life form has a huge innate advantage, its limitations are equally shocking. Heavenly Sword Marquis must have a very high life level, so it must be more difficult for him to break through. It's reasonable that he can't break through. We all understand now. I told you, how could Heavenly Sword Marquis be a waste? Voices of discussion rose and fell in the surroundings. Those who had started to belittle Jian Wushuang when he failed to break through to become a principal's master had all changed their words. Obviously, there was a reason why Jian Wushuang could not break through in Blood Wave Temple. It was not because he was not capable, but because of some special relationship. As a special life form, Heavenly Sword Marquis is no weaker than Silver Wolf, the Principal's master, in terms of basic strength. He is even stronger. Now he has also mastered the principles and has the power of will. In this way, Silver Wolf, the Principal's master, will have no advantage in front of him. Instead, he will be at a disadvantage. This is interesting. I used to think that the Heavenly Sword Marquis was asking for trouble by challenging the Silver Wolf with the immortal Saint Realm, but now it seems like that's not the case. Yes, the difference between the Principal's masters and the immortal Saint Realm is that the difference in strength is huge, and then the power of will is added. Now that the two advantages have been equalized, the next competition is about their own methods, and in terms of methods, the Heavenly Sword Marquis is obviously stronger. Yes. Although Heavenly Sword Marquis is not a rule master, he is better than a Principal's master. Many experts began to guess the outcome of the battle, and most of them were biased toward Jian Wushuang. It was very normal because the Principal's master was competing with Jian Wushuang in terms of techniques without any advantages. Jian Wushuang's techniques were very famous. If Silver Wolf could compete with him, he would not have been afraid to show his face in front of Jian Wushuang. Damn it, I don't believe it. Silver Wolf's eyes were red like a furious beast. Divine power surged out of his body, and the power of his will swept out crazily. Boom, 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 boom. A series of monstrous explosions resounded in the void. Silver Wolf and Jian Wushuang had already engaged in a fierce battle. Both of them displayed astonishing divine power and collided with each other in the void. It was obvious that Jian Wushuang had the upper hand. Silver Wolf was also trying to figure out a way. He had also used many of his secret skills. Silver Wolf came from the Life and Death Saint Realm, one of the 3 Saint Realms, and his secret skills were also very powerful. However, Jian Wushuang's secret skills came from the ancient 7-star mysterious sect, so they could only be of a higher level than Silver Wolf's. Therefore, after dozens of exchanges, Silver Wolf was faintly suppressed by Jian Wushuang. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang stopped moving his hands and his body stopped in the void. Silver Wolf, you have already broken through to become a Principal's master. Is that all you have? Jian Wushuang's eyes were cold as he looked down at Silver Wolf with a hint of arrogance. Chapter 3290. Did he just lose? How could this be? Silver Wolf was stunned. He did not react at all after hearing Jian Wushuang's words. Jian Wushuang continued, I was looking forward to fighting with you, but you have disappointed me. If your strength is only at this level, then you will lose. As soon as Jian Wushuang finished his words, he flew out. He was not fast, so he appeared in front of the Silver Wolf and raised the Blood Mountain sword in his hand. With the long sword raised, Jian Wushuang's strength burst out to the extreme, and the power of his will was fully unleashed. At the same time, the life-divine power in Jian Wushuang's body began to circulate. The innate advantage in his body was greatly stimulated at this moment. Once the life-divine power was activated, it was equivalent to the power of a will. Together with the power of Jian Wushuang's own will, it was equivalent to releasing 2 wills at the same time. A surge of heaven-shaking brutal chi suddenly swept over, and a faint beast roar was heard in the world. It was the peerless sword technique Shi Xiang. The sword light slashed down ferociously, and its shocking power caused all the experts present to change their expressions. Silver Wolf suddenly raised his head, and a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. Then, he raised his spear with all his strength and hurriedly blocked it. But they clang. With a loud sound, the spear in Silver Wolf's hand was slightly changed by the terrifying power, while Jian Wushuang's sword light continued to strike Silver Wolf's divine body. Puff! Silver Wolf threw his head back and spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura was greatly weakened, and his body was sent flying in a sorry state. It took him a long time to regain his balance. After he regained his balance, his face was pale. The surrounding crowd was silent. Everyone became quiet. The whole world was silent. In this silence, there were countless shocked gazes. They were all focused on Jian Wushuang. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. He lost. A trembling voice suddenly sounded in the crowd. The next moment, the whole crowd exploded. He lost, Silver Wolf lost. A principal's master actually lost to the immortal saint? Oh my God, am I dreaming? How is this possible? I also feel that this isn't real. All the experts present could not accept this scene, even though it was the truth. One had to know that since ancient times, principals' masters had always been high and mighty. The immortal saint could not compare to them at all. In the divine beginning realm, for a long time, no one had ever heard of anyone who could challenge a principal's master at the level of an immortal saint. They could not even fight head-on, let alone defeat him. Because of this, many experts in the divine beginning realm had come to a conclusion that the immortal saint could not challenge the principal's master. However, this scene was beyond their understanding. Jian Wushuang and Silver Wolf. One was obviously the immortal saint, and the other was the real principal's master. They fought in front of countless people, but Silver Wolf was defeated. Moreover, he was crushed by Jian Wushuang. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Light King, who was wearing a black robe, stood in the void nearby with his arms crossed. His long and narrow eyes were staring at Jian Wushuang with a strange light. The power of his sword just now doesn't seem to be weaker than mine, which could release two parts of my will at the same time. And he defeated Silver Wolf easily without using his strongest trump card? How interesting. I thought that since we have broken through to become principal's masters, we are no longer comparable to Heavenly Sword Marquis. But now it seems that we were wrong. Even if Heavenly Sword Marquis is not a principal's master, his strength is no weaker than ours. Saint Devil's Son also thought to himself. The immortal saint crossed ranks to challenge the principal's master and won. This should be the first time in the history of the divine beginning realm. Heavenly Sword Marquis should also be called the #1 genius in the history of the divine beginning realm. Master Ku sighed quietly. Han Xian and Snow Saint were also secretly amazed. Silver Wolf was stronger than them before they broke through. Now that they had broken through to the principal's master, Silver Wolf should be slightly stronger than them. But in the end, even Silver Wolf was defeated by Jian Wushuang. This caused a huge wave in their hearts. In the vast void, Jian Wushuang had already put away his Blood Mountain sword. He looked at Silver Wolf coldly and said, "The principal's master is nothing." It was a simple sentence, but it was like a huge slap on Silver Wolf's face. Silver Wolf's face instantly turned the color of a pig's liver. His body trembled crazily, and the anger in his heart soared to the sky, but he could not flare up at all. As for those who had already broken through to become principal's master, they frowned when they heard Jian Wushuang's words, but they did not say anything. If Jian Wushuang, an immortal saint, had dared to say that principal's masters were nothing, he would have been laughed at by countless people. But now, he had defeated a principal's master in front of everyone. He was qualified to say these words. Silver Wolf, you should be glad that I did not break through to become a principal's master in Bloodwave Temple. Otherwise, you would have died. Jian Wushuang looked at Silver Wolf coldly, looking down on him. After all, Silver Wolf had broken through to become a principal's master. Although he was not as strong as Jian Wushuang, it was very difficult or impossible for Jian Wushuang to kill him. Even if he relied on his own assassination techniques, it would not work. After all, his shadowless escape technique was just at the beginning, and he had only mastered the first move of the blood drop sword technique. If he was given more time, he would be able to understand more about the shadowless escape technique. If his swordsmanship improved again, he might really be able to keep Silver Wolf with his assassination skills. Jian Wushuang's words were casual, but in Silver Wolf's ears, they were like knives. He gritted his teeth and took a deep look at Jian Wushuang. Without saying another word, he turned around and retreated to the edge of the void. Obviously, he knew how humiliating it was for a principal's master to be defeated by an immortal saint in front of so many people. Now, the surrounding experts looked at him as if he was a joke. Of course, he did not want to stay here any longer. Chapter 3291. Inescapable Net. Brother Heavenly Marquis, Emperor Ming, Di Hao, and the others were already walking toward Jian Wushuang. Brother Heavenly Marquis, you're amazing. Emperor Ming could not help but exclaim, "It has never happened in the history of the divine beginning realm that an immortal saint defeated a principal's master head-on. To put it bluntly, Brother Heavenly Marquis, you can be said to be the #1 immortal saint in the divine beginning realm since ancient times. I've never heard of an immortal saint who is stronger than you. Yes, it's incredible that the immortal saint defeated the principal's master. No wonder you dared to challenge the Silver Wolf. It turns out that you have such great strength," Di Hao added. Jian Wushuang just smiled faintly. To him, defeating the Silver Wolf was nothing. His basic strength was not weaker than the principal's master, and it was even slightly stronger. Once he used his life divine power, it was equivalent to having 2 parts of the power of will. Of course, it was much stronger than Silver Wolf, who only had 1 part of the power of will. If he used his strongest trump card, the heaven-cleaving skill, the burst of power was equivalent to 3 parts of the power of will, and Silver Wolf would not be able to withstand it. By the way, Brother Heavenly Marquis, why do I feel like you have 2 parts of the power of will when you defeated Silver Wolf in the end? Could it be that you have comprehended 2 principles at the same time in the Blood Wave Temple and have mastered 2 parts of the power of will? Underworld Emperor suddenly asked. No. Jian Wushuang shook his head. It's difficult to comprehend 1 principle, let alone 2. The reason why I can exert 2 parts of the power of will is because of some special reasons. Jian Wushuang did not explain too much. Of course, he would not spread the news about the Life Palace and the Life Divine Power. Underworld Emperor raised his eyebrows and did not ask any further questions. After the battle between Jian Wushuang and Silver Wolf, the surrounding experts immediately changed their opinion of Jian Wushuang. Then, they began to wait for the exit of the Blood Wave realm. During this time, some people would look at Jian Wushuang from time to time, but Jian Wushuang did not pay attention to them. In a corner of the void, Silver Wolf had already joined the people from the Life and Death Saint realm, but at this moment his face was extremely ugly. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Damn Heavenly Sword Marquis. Silver Wolf's body trembled. He had never hated Jian Wushuang before. Since ancient times, there had never been a principal's master who was defeated by the immortal saint, but he was the first. He would undoubtedly become a disgrace among principal's masters in the future. All the principal's masters in the divine beginning realm would probably laugh at him. Not only in this era, but even after a long time, he would probably become a joke among the principal's masters. After a long time, his mood gradually calmed down. I didn't expect that although this Heavenly Sword Marquis didn't break through to become a principal's master, his strength is actually so tyrannical. I've miscalculated. However, there will always be gains and losses. Although I was defeated by him, I've already tested out his current strength. At the very least, he'll be more prepared when the 3 upper echelons of the Saint Realm make a move. Silver Wolf's eyes were cold. In the next moment, he took out his token and began to transmit the message. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. The Grand Palace was filled with a faint chaotic aura. In the center of this chaotic aura, 3 figures slowly gathered together. Although the 3 figures could not be seen under the influence of the aura they emitted was abnormally powerful and ancient. Sky Nether, are you ready to destroy the Saint Realm? A long voice rang out. It was a female voice. Of course I'm ready. As soon as Heavenly Sword Marquis comes out of the Blood Wave realm, my men will immediately make a move and not give him any chance to escape, said Sky Nether Master. That's good. This time, the 3 Saint Realms have joined hands to set up an inescapable net in order to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. In this inescapable net, your move to destroy the Saint Realm is the most important part. If this part fails, our plan will fail, said the last person with a hoarse voice. Don't worry. Although there are a total of 10 entrances to the Blood Wave realm, there is only one exit. It is on the Sa Island. This time, I have made ample preparations to destroy the holy region. I can ensure that the ring will not fail, Sky Nethermaster said. Right now, I am not worried about whether Heavenly Sword Marquis will have a chance to escape. I am worried about the Temporal Temple. This time, The three Saint Realms have gone through so much trouble to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis in the Bloodwave Realm, but we haven't killed him yet. The Temporal Temple should be extremely vigilant. In addition, although the three Saint Realms have been secretly setting up this encirclement, with the Temporal Temple's intelligence techniques, we might be able to detect some clues. If the Temporal Temple is prepared, it won't be so easy for us to succeed. Humph, so what if we are on guard? Even if the Temporal Temple had guessed that the three Saint Realms would attack Heavenly Sword Marquis, they would never have thought that we would pay so much attention to him this time. They would not be able to stop us with just their current forces. By the time they realize what is going on, we would have already succeeded. The hoarse voice said, "That's true. The three Saint Realms went through a lot of trouble to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. If he managed to escape, he must be very lucky," the female voice said. "Oh, there's one more thing. It just came from the Bloodwave Realm. Although Heavenly Sword Marquis didn't become a Principal's Master with the help of the opportunities in the Bloodwave Palace, his combat strength is above that of an ordinary Principal's Master. Silver Wolf of the Life and Death Saint Realm has already broken through to become a Principal's Master. However, he was defeated in a head-on fight with Heavenly Sword Marquis. He was defeated badly. If I'm not mistaken, Heavenly Sword Marquis has the combat strength of a Principal's Master, and he's not weak among them," the hoarse voice said. "The Immortal Saint can actually defeat the Principal's Master? This Heavenly Sword Marquis is truly terrifying, but it is precisely because of this that he deserves to die." Sky Nether Master's voice was icy cold. "Yes, we have already given him too many opportunities to grow. If we allow him to continue growing, I'm afraid that it won't be long before our three great Saint Realms are completely unable to do anything to him. Therefore, this time, no matter what price we have to pay, we must kill him. Even if we have to completely lose all decorum with the Temporal Temple and erupt into a great battle, we will not hesitate." The hoarse voice was unusually firm. "Alright, the two of you. It won't be long before Heavenly Sword Marquis comes out of the Bloodwave Realm. We should start moving as well." As he spoke, the three of them slowly disappeared from the palace. Chapter 3292, Surging Undercurrent, Part 1, Everything in the Bloodwave Realm had calmed down. The fight for the Bloodwave token had long ended, and all the opportunities in the Bloodwave Palace had been obtained. The trip to the Bloodwave Realm had come to an end. Many experts present were quietly waiting for the spatial passage to appear. Jian Wushuang, Emperor Ming, Di Hao, and the others were also waiting quietly. But at this moment, Heavenly Sword Marquis. A message suddenly came. Jian Wushuang immediately took out a message token. Temple Master Bai Xing? The person who sent the message was Temple Master Bai Xing, Heavenly Sword Marquis. I heard that you defeated Silver Wolf, who had broken through to become a Principal's Master in the Bloodwave Realm? Temple Master Bai Xing asked first. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Since ancient times, you are the first person to defeat a Principal's Master in the Immortal Saint Realm. You are indeed impressive, Temple Master Bai Xing said. You flatter me, Temple Master, Jian Wushuang said humbly. Don't be too happy. I'm not sending you a message to compliment you. I'm telling you that the three Saint Realms will continue to make moves against you, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Oh. Jian Wushuang frowned. The intelligence department of the Temporal Temple has already detected the high-level experts of the three Saint Realms and secretly dispatched many of them. Although we haven't figured out where they are heading, everyone's attention is focused on the Bloodwave Realm at this time. In addition to what the three Saint Realms did to you in the Bloodwave Realm, even a fool can guess that they are targeting you, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Jian Wushuang nodded secretly. Indeed, in the Bloodwave Realm, the three Saint Realms had risked everything to kill him, but they did not succeed. Now that he had obtained the opportunity in the Bloodwave Palace, his strength had soared. This was definitely a greater threat to the three Saint Realms. The three Saint Realms would definitely not let him continue to grow. No matter what, I am a member of the Temporal Temple. It's fine if the three Saint Realms attack me in the Bloodwave Realm, but if they attack me in the outside world in front of the Temporal Temple, it would be a total loss of face with the Temporal Temple. It seems that the three saint realms would rather fight the temporal temple than kill me, Jian Wushuang thought. There are quite a number of experts from the three great saint realms. My temporal temple has only detected a small part of them, but even so, it is already very shocking. That is why I am sending you a message now. When you leave the Blood Wave realm, you must be careful. After all, there is only one exit to the Blood Wave realm, and that is the Sa Island. The three great saint realms will most likely set up an inescapable net there. Once you leave the Blood Wave realm, they will use lightning-fast methods to kill you. Yes. Temple Master Bai Xing's voice was cold. Of course, you are a member of the Temporal Temple, so we will do our best to protect you. When we sense the three saint realms are making a move, I will gather people as quickly as possible. I will lead them myself. When you come out of the Blood Wave realm, the experts of the Temporal Temple will come to meet you. Thank you, Temple Master. Jian Wushuang thanked him immediately. Don't thank me yet. I feel that the three saint realms will definitely do something big this time. I can't guarantee that I can protect you, so I can only do my best. You also have to be well prepared. Fortunately, you have a good life-saving ability. When the two sides really fall out, you have to remember that you have to try your best to survive. Don't worry about anything else. Temple Master Bai Xing said. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded heavily. After the communication ended, Jian Wushuang opened his eyes and let out a long sigh. Brother Heavenly Marquis, what's wrong? Emperor Ming, Di Hao, and the others looked at each other. Temple Master Bai Xing just sent me a message saying that the three saint realms will make a move against me on Sa Island. He wants me to be ready, Jian Wushuang said seriously. Three saint realms? The expression of the underworld emperor changed. The three saint realms are really persistent. Qian Hongzi cursed in a low voice. Since they entered the temporal temple, they had been in conflict with the three saint realms. Later, the three saint realms joined hands to kill Jian Wushuang once, but they did not succeed. But now, the three saint realms wanted to attack Jian Wushuang not only in the Blood Wave realm but also outside the Blood Wave realm. The three saint realms and I have been fighting to the death for a long time. I expected the three saint realms to treat me like this. Jian Wushuang was not surprised. He pondered for a moment, then he took out another token. This token was given to him by Blood Wave. Master Blood Wave. Jian Wushuang sent a message directly. Jian Wushuang, why are you looking for me? Blood Wave replied quickly. Hearing Blood Wave's reply, Jian Wushuang could not help but feel happy. Blood Wave had given him this token to contact his original body when he went to the universe battlefield. Therefore, Jian Wushuang was not sure whether this token could be used to contact Blood Wave's consciousness in the Blood Wave Temple. But now it seemed that this token could be used to contact Blood Wave's token. Master Blood Wave, I want to ask, how long will it take before the exit of the Blood Wave realm appears? Jian Wushuang asked. An hour, Blood Wave replied. So fast. Jian Wushuang frowned and then asked, Master Blood Wave, is there a second exit of the Blood Wave realm? In Jian Wushuang's opinion, with his current strength, he did not need to worry about anything in the Blood Wave realm. However, if he was outside the Blood Wave realm, it would not be appropriate for him to confront the three saint realms directly. Therefore, if there was a second exit in the Blood Wave realm, he could leave quietly through the second exit, and all the preparations made by the three saint realms on the Sa Island would be in vain. However, Blood Wave replied, My Blood Wave realm has long been fixed. There can only be one exit, and the location of the exit has been fixed for a long time. If my original body was here, I could easily change the location of the exit or create more exits. However, I'm only a consciousness now, and I can't change anything. Is that so? Jian Wushuang felt a little regretful. Jian Wushuang, you seem to be in some trouble? Blood Wave asked. Yes, I am. Jian Wushuang nodded. As expected, my enemies in the outside world have set up an inescapable net at the exit of the Blood Wave realm. Once I appear from the Blood Wave world, I will be immediately attacked by them. I see. Blood Wave understood and paused, then he continued. The exit of the Blood Wave realm cannot be changed, but there is still a certain connection between the exit of the Blood Wave realm. After you go out, if you are really attacked by them, I can still give you some help. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Chapter 3293, Surging Undercurrent, Part 2. Don't be too happy. Don't forget that I'm just a consciousness now. The help I can give you is very limited. As for whether you can escape this crisis, it's up to you, Bloodwave said. I see. Jian Wushuang nodded. Master Bloodwave, can you do me one more favor and make the space passage out of the Bloodwave realm appear later? That's fine, but the Bloodwave realm has its own rules. Even I can't change it too much, or the balance here will be completely broken. So I can give you a delay of 3 days at most, Bloodwave said. 3 days? That should be enough. Thank you, Master Bloodwave, Jian Wushuang said gratefully. Okay, Bloodwave replied and did not say anything else. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's mind was racing. 3 days may not be very useful to others, but to me, these short 3 days are enough for me to be fully prepared. In addition, these 3 days should be enough for me to master that move. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands and looked at the surrounding underworld emperor and the others. Everyone, I need to meditate alone for a while. I hope you can protect me. Don't let anyone disturb me before the spatial passage from the Blood Wave realm appears. No problem. Di Hao nodded. Brother Heavenly Marquis, don't worry about cultivating. With us here, no one will disturb you, Underworld Emperor added. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly, then closed his eyes and fell into meditation. Time slowly passed in the Blood Wave realm. The spatial passage that was supposed to leave the Blood Wave realm would appear in an hour. However, because of Jian Wushuang, the appearance of the spatial passage would be delayed for 3 days. During this time, the outside world was already in turmoil. On the vast drill ground of the time-space island, figures appeared one after another. In a short while, more than 30 people had gathered on the drill ground. Each of them was emitting an extremely powerful aura. Each of these auras had surpassed the immortal saint and reached the level of Principles Masters. More than 30 Principles Masters had gathered in a short time. At this moment, whoosh, 2 more figures appeared. They were Temple Master Bai Xing and Ba Zong, who had brought Jian Wushuang to the Temporal Temple. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Is everyone here? Temple Master Bai Xing looked around coldly. Time is too short. Most of the experts of our Temporal Temple are roaming in the universe battlefield or other places. We can't gather too many of them in such a short time. Most of them just happen to stay on the island. Other than the experts who have to show mercy on the island, most of the Principles Masters who can be mobilized are here. Some of them are not on the Space Tome Island, but they went to the Sa Island as soon as they received the order, Ba Zong said coldly. Temple Master Bai Xing's eyes flickered when he heard this. The Temporal Temple was one of the 3 freedom alliances in the Divine Beginning realm. It had always been mysterious and unpredictable. However, although the Temporal Temple had a deep foundation and powerful means, there were not many true experts. When Jian Wushuang had left his divine seat, he had already learned that the current Temporal Temple had only a small number of experts. There were only about 1,000 of them alive, many of whom were immortal saints and only a small number were Principles Masters. Moreover, because no one dared to provoke the Temporal Temple and there were few conflicts with other forces, let alone wars, most of the experts of the Temporal Temple were wandering outside. Very, very few of them actually stayed on the Temporal Island. If given some time, the Temporal Temple could naturally summon even more experts, and even invite many experts who did not belong to the Temporal Temple to come and help. But unfortunately, this incident had happened too suddenly. The Temporal Temple had just discovered the movements of the 3 saint-level experts. Thus, in such a short period of time, they did not summon many experts. The 3 great saint realms are spending a lot of money this time. With just the experts we have gathered now, I'm afraid it won't be enough to deal with them, Temple Master Bai Xing said. That's right. However, the good news is that our Temporal Temple is led by Master Lin Guang. The 10-man team that has been adventuring in the universe battlefield has arrived at the edge of the divine beginning realm. I've already sent a message to him that they will arrive at the Sa Island as soon as possible. Among Master Lin Guang's 10-man team, besides Master Lin Guang, whose combat power is no less than mine, there are 3 other top-notch principals masters. Once this 10-man team arrives, our combat power will soar. Batsong said. Master Lin Guang's team? I hope they can make it in time. Palace Master Bai Xing nodded to himself. Other than that, the 4 who have been staying in the Quiet Moon Abyss have already left. Batsong added. Oh! Palace Master Bai Xing's eyes immediately lit up. Although those 4 old fellows are members of our temporal temple, no one can move them apart from the Palace Master. Even when I asked them to act, they weren't willing to pay any attention to me. They're actually willing to act this time? I don't know. Perhaps because their opponents are the 3 great saint-level experts, the 4 of them have already moved out, Batsong said. Since these 4 old fellows have already acted, then even if we are a bit lacking in manpower, we aren't afraid of those 3 great saint-level experts. Temple Master Bai Xing laughed coldly, then waved his hand. Follow me and set off. Our target is the Whirling Island. With Palace Master Bai Xing's order, the more than 30 principals masters of the temporal temple set off toward the Sa Island at their fastest speed. This was the 3rd heaven, which was located at the core of the divine beginning realm. In this 3rd heaven, there were many top forces and sects standing. Other than the 3 great saint realms, there were also the 4 great divine races and the 8 directions heavenly sect. Any of the forces had extremely powerful foundations. At this moment, within one of the 4 great divine clans, the Nine-Tailed Clan, there were nearly 10 human figures floating in the air. So, a peerlessly beautiful human figure suddenly rushed out from a towering mountain below and appeared in front of these human figures. Third sister, have you seen Mother? A charming young lady dressed in a white robe asked. No. The beautiful figure that rushed out from the mountain was a red-robed, enchanting woman. Her every move was enough to make people's hearts tremble. She was definitely a natural beauty. Lord Mother is still in closed-door cultivation. She doesn't want to see us. How can that be? Sixth sister is dead and has been killed. Lord Mother is still not willing to come out of closed-door cultivation? The charming white-robed girl said angrily. Perhaps Lord Mother's seclusion this time is no small matter. However, it doesn't matter. If Lord Mother doesn't come out of seclusion, we will be the ones to take revenge for Sixth Sister. It's the same. The red-robed woman's gaze was extremely cold. Chapter 3294. Leaving the Blood Wave Realm, Mother is in closed-door cultivation. Among us sisters, eldest sister, second sister, and fourth sister have been adventuring in the universe battlefield all year round. Now, in the divine beginning realm, only the 2 of us can avenge sixth sister, said the charming white-robed girl. Let's go. We'll go to the Sa Island and skin Heavenly Sword Marky alive. The charming red-robed girls killing intense sword to the sky. Soon, led by the red-robed woman and the white-robed charming girl, the experts of the Nine-Tailed Clan headed directly to the Sa Island. The Blood Wave realm was still calm. At this moment, it was already the 4th day since Jian Wushuang and the others came out of the Blood Wave Palace. Normally, the spatial passage would appear shortly after Jian Wushuang and the others came out of the Blood Wave Palace. But this time, it was obviously delayed. However, after 3 days, the spatial passage still appeared. Buzz buzz buzz. A large amount of strange power gathered in the void, and a huge spatial passage appeared in the eyes of all the experts present. It's time to leave. Let's go, let's go. Countless experts gathered near the Blood Wave Palace stood up and rushed toward the spatial passage. Brother Heavenly Marquis. Underworld Emperor also woke Jian Wushuang up. Has the exit passage appeared? Jian Wushuang raised his head and looked at the huge spatial passage in front of him. Fortunately, this spatial passage was delayed for 3 days. During these 3 days, not only did I have enough time, but I also successfully mastered that move. With my current strength and many trump cards, even if the 3 Saint Realms want to kill me, it won't be easy. Moreover, the temporal temple will be on my side. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with a bright light. 3 Saint Realms, as expected, this should be the last time you can attack me. If you succeed, that's fine. But if you fail and let me escape, it won't be long before the end of the 3 Saint Realms. Come. Come. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath and stepped into the space passage with Emperor Ming, Di Hao, and the others. This was a vast sea with no name. In the center of the sea, there was an unremarkable island. But this island had become the center of attention in the divine beginning realm. This small island was the Sa Island. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. There was only one exit from the Blood Wave realm, and it led to the Sa Island. At this moment, many experts had gathered on the Sa Island. Most of these experts came from various forces and sects in the divine beginning realm. They were all waiting for the young experts from their own sects. They walked out of the Blood Wave realm. Along the way, these experts were chatting casually. The content of their conversation was about the things that happened in the Blood Wave realm. This year's competition in the Blood Wave realm is even more intense than the previous ones. This time, many experts died in the competition in the Blood Wave realm. I heard that even the proud child of heaven from the 9-tailed clan died there. The 3 great saint realms are even more miserable. The 3 great saint realms should have fallen at the hands of that little fellow called Heavenly Sword Marquis. I have to say, that little fellow is really powerful. He was able to cause such heavy losses to the 3 great saint realms alone. Furthermore, he was able to defeat the principal's master with his immortal saint realm cultivation. This is unprecedented. Heavenly Sword Marquis is indeed very powerful. However, with the style of the 3 great saint realms, they will definitely not let this matter rest. Look around. Have you noticed that not a single expert from the 3 great saint realms has appeared on the Sa Island? It's true. Not only the 3 great saint realms but also the experts from the temporal temple. No one has come to the Sa Island yet. What are they trying to do? Who knows? It has nothing to do with us anyway. We'll just watch. Most of the experts on the Sa Island could see that something was wrong. After all, the forces of the divine beginning realm had sent experts to this Sa Island to receive their subordinates. However, the temporal temple and the 3 great saint realms did not even send a single expert. Of course, something was wrong. Time passed. Finally, a huge spatial passage appeared in the sky above the central region of Sa Island. This spatial tunnel seemed to be connected to 2 different dimensions. The moment it appeared, it immediately attracted the attention of all the experts present. Are they all about to come out? Many experts on the Sa Island raised their heads at the same time and looked at this spatial tunnel. Soon, people began to pass through this spatial tunnel one after another. These people were naturally the immortal saints who were adventuring in the Blood Wave realm. After they came out of the spatial tunnel, they immediately found the experts from their sects and hurried over to meet up. The Light King, the Saint Devil Son, and Master Ku, who had already broken through to become Principal's Masters, also walked out of the spatial tunnel one by one. So, the Saint Devil Son and the immortal saints of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance directly came to the front of a black-clothed skinny elder. This black-clothed skinny elder was a high-level expert of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. How does it feel to break through to become a Principal's Master? The black-clothed skinny elder smiled and glanced at the Saint Devil Son. Not bad. The Saint Devil Son smiled. Unfortunately, the competition within the Blood Wave realm is too crazy. It wasn't easy for me to obtain a Blood Wave token for myself, but I wasn't able to obtain a second one. Therefore, I was the only one who broke through to become a Principal's Master among the people from the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance who entered the Blood Wave realm. It's already not bad to be able to obtain one. The black-robed old man smiled. Let's go, well, leave this place first. Why are you in such a hurry? The Saint Devil Son was puzzled. It's not that we're in a hurry. Something big will happen here soon. If we stay, we'll inevitably get involved. So we should leave this place first. At the very least, we should leave Sa Island first. The black-robed elder said. The Saint Devil Son's pupils constricted. He looked around and realized that it was not just the heaven-cleaving alliance. The other forces and sects had also left Sa Island as soon as they received their experts from the Bloodwave realm. Saint Devilsun's heart moved, but he had already reacted. Without hesitation, Saint Devilsun and the others also left the island. There were still people coming out from the huge space passage. At this moment, several figures stepped out from the space passage. Among these people, there were 3 people in the lead, and the one standing in the middle was Jian Wushuang, who carried a long sword on his back and had a cold face. Chapter 3295. Space-time imprisonment. When Jian Wushuang stepped out of the space passage and appeared in the void above Sa Island, the entire Sa Island fell silent at first. Then, countless eyes looked at Jian Wushuang in unison. In an instant, Jian Wushuang became the focus of everyone's attention. Heavenly Sword Marquis? Is he Heavenly Sword Marquis? Finally, we meet the immortal saint who defeated the Rule Master. The experts from various sects chatted casually and looked at Jian Wushuang with different eyes. Some praised him, some were amazed, and some sneered. When Jian Wushuang appeared, the experts from the 3 saint realms who had been hiding around the island immediately made their moves. Buzz. A vast power of time and space suddenly rose and spread out. The power of time and space spread so fast that it almost covered the entire island the moment it rose. All the experts on the island sensed the difference in their own space and time. This is space-time imprisonment? It's space-time imprisonment, but it's not just one expert who used this technique. Who could it be? Many experts looked around, trying to find the person who used space-time imprisonment. However, they could not find any trace of him. Space-time imprisonment could only be used by experts who had extremely high attainments in the use of space-time. In the entire Divine Beginning realm, there were not many people who were qualified to use this move, and any one of them was a top principles master. Now, it was obvious that such an expert had arrived at the Sa Island. Space-time imprisonment? Sure enough. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly. He was not surprised to see this scene in the surrounding space-time. His life-saving ability was very strong, and one of the life-saving methods was the 3rd move of the space-time divine skill, space-time teleportation. Once he mastered this move, he could go almost anywhere, even though the world was vast. In the Bloodwave realm, he relied on this move to make the 3 experts of the Saint realm unable to do anything to him. There was only one way to restrict space-time teleportation, and that was to imprison space-time. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Only by using a great method to completely imprison the surrounding space-time could space-time travel not be used. The 3 saint realms had long known this, so since they were going to make a move this time, they would naturally be well prepared. They would certainly imprison space-time from the beginning so that he could not use space-time travel to escape. According to Temple Master Bai Xing, there are only a dozen or so experts in the Divine Beginning realm who are qualified to use space-time travel. More than half of them are in the Temporal Temple. I wonder who is using space-time travel now? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. He was also looking for the person who had cast the space-time imprisonment, but unfortunately he did not find anything. At this moment, Master Qingyan, I didn't expect that the 3 saint realms would invite you here this time. They really put in a lot of effort. An angry voice sounded. Then, a black-clothed elder rushed over from the void outside the Sa Island and appeared beside Jian Wushuang in the blink of an eye. Lord Hunyuan. Jian Wushuang and the people from the Temporal Temple immediately saluted. It was Hunyuan Master who had escorted them into the Bloodwave realm. However, Hunyuan Master ignored them and looked at the void in the distance, his eyes filled with anger. Hunyuan, you and I haven't seen each other for many years. I remember the last time we met was in the universe battlefield, but we fought together. A hearty laughter sounded in the void. A green figure gradually appeared in the void. This green figure was a middle-aged man with long green hair. He was handsome and unrestrained, and the smile on his face was extremely gentle as if he was chatting with Master Hunyuan. Seeing this person, the surrounding void immediately let out a wave of exclamations. Qingyan Master! It's actually him. The three great saint realms are really generous. Not only is Qing Yan Master powerful, but his use of the space-time principles has also reached the peak. However, Qing Yan Master has always ignored the fights between the various forces in the divine beginning realm. He only wants to increase his own strength. It's rumored that someone once paid a huge price to ask him for help, but he didn't pay any attention to it. But this time, he actually made an exception? It's not an exception. In my opinion, the three holy realms must have given Master Qing Yan a condition that he couldn't refuse. Regardless of whether Master Qing Yan really doesn't care about the competition between the forces of the divine beginning realm, if there really is a treasure or condition that drives him crazy, he would definitely not refuse. The crowd was discussing animatedly. Master Hunyuan stared at Master Qing Yan, who appeared, but his face was extremely unsightly. Qing Yan, you know that you've fought alongside me before. This time, can you give me some face and leave? Primal Chaos, you and I do have some friendship. If it were anything else, since you have stepped in, I would have left without saying anything. But this time I can't. The conditions offered by the three great saint realms are enough to drive me crazy and make me disregard everything. So, I can only apologize. Qing Yan Master said. Qing Yan, your use of the space-time principles has indeed reached the peak. But don't forget that in terms of space-time, my temporal temple is the strongest in the divine beginning realm. So what if you have restricted space-time? Once the experts of our temporal temple arrive, we can completely break your space-time restriction in an instant. Just based on these methods of yours, you want to keep Heavenly Sword Marquis? Isn't it a little laughable? Primal Chaos Master said. Yes, you're right. Qing Yan Master nodded slightly. With just my strength alone, facing the many experts of the temporal temple, it's impossible for me to completely restrict space-time. However, what if I add it in? Qing Yan Master flipped his wrist, and a purple gold command flag appeared in his hand. This purple gold command flag emitted a dense amount of time and space energy. The density of this time and space energy caused the expressions of everyone present to change. This is the painting sky golden flag? Master Hunyuan stared fiercely. Yes, it is the sky golden flag. It is one of the top-tier space-time true treasures in the divine beginning realm, and it has always been a legend. Master Qing Yan smiled. Legend has it that 80 million years ago, in a secret region of the universe battlefield, 4 sky golden flags appeared at the same time. One of them was obtained by the palace master of your temporal temple, but the other 3 rods drifted into the void space of the universe, and their whereabouts are unknown. However, no one knows that one of the 3 sky-painting golden flags was found by the people of the 3 great saint realms many years ago. This time, the 3 sanctums are asking me to lend them to me for 10 million years. Chapter 3296, Void God. Golden Sky Painting Flag. The 3 great saint realms really have big arms. They even took out the golden sky painting flag. No wonder even you were moved and listened to the orders of the 3 great saint realms. Master Hunyuan's expression was dark and cold. He knew about this golden sky painting flag. Just as Master Qing Yan had said, this painting sky golden flag was definitely one of the strongest time and space true treasures in the divine beginning realm. It was very rare. Previously, he had known that the one-stroke painting sky golden flag was a technique used by Time and Temporal Palace Master. This painting sky golden flag was a very important treasure even to Temporal Palace Master. To Master Qing Yan, it was even more useful. With the golden sky painting banner, Master Qingjian's strength and life-saving ability would be greatly improved. In the next 10 million years, he could go to many places in the universe battlefield that he did not dare to go before. The opportunities and treasures he could get there were far beyond what he could compare with before. It was because of this that Master Qing Yan could not refuse the conditions offered by the 3 saint realms, so he came here to help them kill Jian Wushuang. Hunyuan, you and I have fought side by side before. You know my strength very well. I may be able to break the space-time imprisonment that I cast alone. But now, I'm using the space-time imprisonment that I cast with the golden painting sky flag. Even if it's your temporal temple, No one can break my space-time imprisonment unless your temple master comes personally. This little guy named Heavenly Sword Marquis has absolutely no chance of escaping. Master Qingyan. Master Qingyan's voice shook the sky. Hearing this, Master Hunyuan's face turned extremely ugly. Jian Wushuang, on the other hand, was quite calm. He looked at Master Qingyan in the void with indifferent eyes. Master Qingyan, is it? At most, you can help the 3 Saint Realms to use space-time imprisonment. But if you want to kill me, the 3 Saint Realms will have to arrange other experts. But I don't know how many people from the 3 Saint Realms have come to kill me. There's no need to hide anymore. Let's show up together. As soon as Jian Wushuang finished his words, the void on Sa Island suddenly became silent. However, this silence only lasted for a moment before it was immediately broken by someone. In the void around Sa Island, waves of extremely powerful aura rose one after another. Heavenly Sword Marquis? A little guy at the saint level can still be so calm when facing the 3 Saint Realms. His boldness is indeed extraordinary. I've long heard that Heavenly Sword Marquis is the #1 genius of this era in the Divine Beginning realm. It can even be said that he is the #1 person in the Divine Beginning realm since ancient times. I've finally met him today. So what if he is a genius? As long as he is targeted by the 3 great saint realms, no matter how talented he is, he will only die. 3 consecutive voices came from 3 different directions. Then, from these 3 directions, many figures rushed over side by side. There were 15 people in each of these 3 directions. When the 3 directions were added together, there were a total of 45 people. Just by looking at the number, it was not considered too many. However, when the many experts within and outside the Sa Island noticed the aura emitted by these 45 people, their expressions turned into shock and astonishment. This was because each of the 45 experts who came from these 3 directions at the same time emitted an aura that belonged to a Principal's Master. All 45 of them were Principal's Masters. Oh my God! All of them are Principal's Masters? More than 40 Principal's Masters came together? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Are you kidding me? Everyone was shocked by the generosity of the 3 Saint Realms. They had guessed that the 3 Saint Realms would attack Jian Wushuang, so they would send many experts. However, they did not expect that the 3 Saint Realms would send so many experts at once. What did it mean to have 45 Principal's Masters? The experts from the big forces who were Principal's Masters were better off, but the immortal saints who had just walked out of the Bloodwave realm were shocked to an unprecedented extent. For them, Principal's Masters were high and mighty, and it was difficult to meet one. But now, 45 Principal's Masters had come at the same time, which made them confused. Moreover, the 45 Principal's Masters who had just arrived in the 3 great saint realms were not the kind of Principal's Masters who had just grasped a portion of the power of their wills. The auras on their bodies were all extremely powerful. They were obviously much stronger than the Principal's Masters who had just broken through and grasped a portion of the power of their wills. In other words, these 45 Principal's Masters had grasped at least 2 portions of the power of their wills. Especially the 3 people in the lead. That's Sky Nether Master from the Destruction Saint Realm. There's also Star River Master from the Life and Death Saint Realm, and the last one is the 8 Treasures Master from the Flame Saint Realm. Heavens, it's actually the 3 of them. Sky Nether Master's status in the Destruction Saint Realm is only second to that Sacred Master. It's said that he had already reached the peak of the Void 5th stage many years ago. Now that so many years have passed, even if he hasn't reached the Void 6th stage, he's probably not far from it. Star River Master is even more terrifying. 30 million years ago in the universe battlefield, he once fought with an expert of the 6th level of the Void. In the end, he retreated calmly. In terms of strength, he is probably stronger than Sky Nether Master. As for 8 Treasures Master, although he is slightly weaker than Star River Master, he is also an absolute expert at the peak of the 5th level of the Void. In order to kill a puny Heavenly Sword Marquis, 3 peak level 5 Void Realm experts were alarmed. Inside and outside the Sa Island, The principal's masters from the various powers were all trembling in their hearts. The immortal saints present were relatively inexperienced. They did not know what kind of existences the leader of the three was, but they, the principal's masters, knew. The peak of the 5 states of the void, which was the realm sky nether master, and the other 2 were at. In the divine beginning realm, there were different levels of strength between each realm. For example, the immortal saints, from false saint to true saint rank 7, then to peak saint and invincible saint, there were almost rank 10. The immortal saints were like this, and the principal's masters naturally had different levels. However, there were not that many levels of principal's masters. Principal's masters, what did they mean by principal's masters? They had completely comprehended and grasped the principles, and at the same time, they had the power of will. This was what principal's masters were like. However, the title of principal's master was only spread in the divine beginning realm. And outside the divine beginning realm, in the even more vast universe battlefield, principal's masters had another title, which was Void God. Chapter 3297. 6th Stage Void Realm _ Void God could enter the void and walk in the void space of the cosmos. Because of this, only principal's masters could enter the cosmos battlefield to explore. Because those below law masters could not walk in the cosmos battlefield, they naturally could not survive. And void gods were divided into 6 stages of the void. This 6th stage of the void was mainly decided by the willpower they grasped. Just like ordinary void 1st stage experts, they could only grasp a portion of willpower. Like Underworld Emperor, Vast Emperor, Silver Wolf, and the other principal's masters who had just broken through, they could only comprehend a single principle and grasp a portion of willpower, hence, they were all at the level of the 1st level of the void realm. The 2nd level of the void realm would be able to grasp 2 portions of the power of the will. They could comprehend 2 portions of the power of the will at the same time. They could also open up their own mystic realms and obtain a 2nd portion of the power of the will. For the 3rd level of the void realm, under normal circumstances, they would be able to comprehend 2 portions of the power of the will at the same time and open up their own mystic realms. Among the 4 realms of the void, there were those who comprehended 3 principles at the same time and opened their own mystic realms. There were also those who comprehended only 2 principles and opened their own mystic realms. However, the 2 principles that he comprehended had already perfectly fused together. This was because when 2 principles fused together, one could obtain a portion of the power of the will. This level could already be considered as the peak level among the principal's masters, void gods. The void 5 realms, under the premise of comprehending 3 principles at the same time and opening up their own mystic realms, 2 of the principles would be perfectly fused together. This level was already considered a supreme existence. Even in the entire divine beginning realm, there were pitifully few of them. For example, the Sky Serene Master, Star River Master, and 8 Treasures Master that appeared now belonged to this level. There were also the 3 Palace Masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. 2 of them also belonged to this level. After reaching this level, they were already a magnate in the divine beginning realm. They were super experts, and no force or sect dared to look down on them. Even the 3 Great Freedom Alliance and the 3 Great Saint Realms, when facing experts at this level, they would also treat them with caution and not dare to provoke them. As for the 6 realms of the void, they were even more amazing. They either comprehended 4 principles at the same time and fused 2 of them together, or they comprehended 3 principles at the same time and perfectly fused all 3 of them together. No matter which one it was, as long as one had reached this level and grasped a total of 6 wills, then his battle prowess could be said to be earth-shattering. In the divine beginning realm, he could absolutely walk unhindered. However, the 6 states of the void were not something that could be easily achieved. In the entire divine beginning realm, the number of principal's masters who had reached the 6 states of the void could be counted on one's fingers. On the surface, the experts of the 6 states of the void that the outside world already knew of, Palace Master by Xing of the Temporal Temple was one of them. The strongest Palace Master among the 3 Palace Masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance had also reached the 6 states of the void. Of course, the 6 states of the void only referred to the levels of Principal's Masters. However, the true combat strength of a Principal's Masters did not only depend on the power of his will, but it also included many other aspects. For example, the absolute art he created, his comprehension of the Tao, his special use of the principles, and so on. If he was strong enough in these aspects, even if he only grasped one part of the power of his will, he could still be compared to a Principal's Master who grasped 2 parts of the power of his will. Just like Master Qingyan, who was currently using the space-time imprisonment. He only grasped 4 parts of the power of his will and was at the 4th level of the void realm. However, his use of the space-time principles was very impressive. Therefore, even if he met an ordinary expert of the 5th void realm, he would still be able to tangle with him. Now that he had obtained the golden sky painting banner, a space-time supreme treasure, even if he were to face an expert of the 5th void realm, he would probably be able to fight him. Moreover, the Master Star River, who was at the peak of the 5th void realm, was able to retreat easily from an expert of the 6th void realm. This proved that they were very powerful, but now, just to kill Jian Wushuang, the immortal saint, the 3 saint realms had sent 3 experts at the peak of the 5 void realms, and more than 40 Principal's Masters at the bottom of the 2 void realms. It was indeed a big deal. To kill me, the 3 saint realms sent so many experts. You really think highly of me? Jian Wushuang smiled coldly. It's been a long time since the 3 saint realms joined hands, let alone sending so many Principal's Masters at once. So, Heavenly Sword Marquis, you can die in peace. The voice of the Sky Nether Master was warm. It made people feel extremely gentle. Little guy, you're just an immortal saint, so you're not worth the trouble of the 3 saint realms. Unfortunately, you're too special and your secret is too big, so the 3 saint realms don't dare to be careless. So today I have to bully the weak. Master Star River in a black robe looked at Jian Wushuang. He looked at Jian Wushuang. Little guy, I advise you to stop struggling and let us kill you. This way we can save trouble and you can suffer less. The 8 Treasures Master in a golden robe was a delicate girl. Her eyes were shining with a faint golden light and she looked extremely charming. Humph, you want to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis? Have you asked my temporal temple? Master Hunyuan suddenly snorted. As soon as he finished speaking, a large amount of tyrannical auras rose in the void beside him. Each of these auras was extremely tyrannical. Any one of them was far superior to the immortal saint. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Clearly, the auras that erupted at this moment all belonged to the Principal's Masters. 3 saint realms, how dare you? A low shout echoed in the void like thunder, resounding throughout the entire Sa Island. At the same time, this low shout contained an extremely terrifying pressure. This pressure was much stronger than anyone present, even Sky Nether Master, Star River Master, and 8 Treasures Master. After that, a large group of figures rushed over. This pressure, it seems that the person from the temporal temple has come personally. Sky Nether Master looked at the group of people charging over, his expression still indifferent. Bai Xinghe? I've dealt with them many years ago. Looks like we'll have the chance to fight again today. Star River Master smiled slightly. It's not just Bai Xing who has come personally. Even Ba Tsong has come. Even though this Ba Tsong hasn't broken through to the 5th level of the void space for a long time, his battle prowess is indeed extraordinary. Even if I were to face him, I don't have absolute confidence in winning. 8 Treasures Master also spoke. While the 3 of them were chatting and laughing, the many Principal's Masters of the Temporal Temple, under the guidance of Palace Master Bai Xing and Ba Tsong, arrived at the Sa Island. Chapter 3298, Battle, Begin. More than 30 Principal's Masters of the Temporal Temple, led by Temple Master Bai Xing and Ba Tsong, had already appeared on the Sa Island, standing next to Jian Wushuang. However, compared to the huge lineup of the 3 saint realms, the Temporal Temple only had about 30 Principal's Masters, so there was obviously a gap between them. As expected, it's just as we thought. Because we didn't have much preparation, the Temporal Temple can't gather too many experts in a short period of time. Now that they can gather so many, it should be the temporal temple's limit. Sky Nether Master smiled faintly. In terms of overall strength, the Temporal Temple, as one of the 3 great freedom alliances, was indeed very powerful. Compared to any other Saint Realm, it was a little stronger. If it were to fight against one great Saint Realm alone, the Temporal Temple would naturally be able to gain the upper hand. But this time, the Temporal Temple had to fight against the 3 Saint Realms at the same time. Naturally, it would be difficult. Just from the experts present, it was obvious that the 3 Saint Realms were much stronger. Bai Xing, long time no see. How have you been? Star River Master's gaze was cold as he looked toward Temple Master Bai Xing. Star River Master, the 3 of you Saint Realms have openly attacked the experts under my Temporal Temple. Do you want to start a war with my Temporal Temple? Temple Master Bai Xing said coldly. We 3 Saint Realms don't have such thoughts. We are here for one purpose, and that is to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. As long as he is dead, the 3 Saint Realms will immediately retreat. We will not dare to offend the Temporal Temple again, Star River Master said. Bai Xing, if you are sensible, let us kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. That way, both of us can live in peace, Sky Nether Master said. What a joke! Palace Master Bai Xing sneered. You obviously want to kill the people of my Temporal Temple, but you want my Temporal Temple to sit back and do nothing? What do you 3 Saint Realms regard my Temporal Temple as? If that's the case, it seems that we can't come to an agreement, Star River Master said. Since we can't come to an agreement, let's just attack directly. Well, see who's stronger, Sky Nether Master said. Leave Bai Xing to me. I haven't fought with her for a long time. I'd like to see if her strength has improved after so many years, Star River Master said with a smile. I'll deal with Botsong. As for the rest, let's divide them up. 8 Treasures Master smiled slightly. Following Star River Master's order, 45 Rule Masters of the 3 Saint Realms immediately moved. Powerful auras pressed down on Jian Wushuang and the others. Be careful. Don't fight them head-on. Remember, our goal is to buy time. Temple Master Bai Xing looked around. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website My Novelful. Thanks. Yes. The principal's masters nodded. They could see the situation clearly. The 3 Saint Realms were much stronger than the other 2. If they chose to fight them head-on, they would be at a disadvantage. Therefore, they had to find a way to fight them at the same time. They had to try their best to stall for time while keeping themselves alive. After all, there were still reinforcements from the Temporal Temple that had not arrived yet. As long as the 10-man team of Master Lin Guang and the 4 from the Quiet Moon Abyss arrived on the battlefield, they would not be afraid of the 3 Saint Realms. Only then would they be able to fight freely. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Temple Master Bai Xing looked at Jian Wushuang again. There is a big gap between the formation of the Temporal Temple and the 3 Saint Realms. In this battle, we can only try our best to stop the experts of the 3 Saint Realms for you. However, it is inevitable that someone will find an opening to attack you. Although you are an immortal saint, your battle strength is not weaker than an ordinary principal's master. If the principal's masters of the 3 Saint Realms really attack you, you have to be careful. If you can't deal with them, you have to find a way to get closer to the people around you. Do you understand? Understood. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. He also knew that it would be very difficult for the people of the Temporal Temple to stop all the experts of the 3 Saint Realms. If the 3 experts of the Saint Realm came to him through the gap, he would have to deal with them. Of course, he would have to deal with them himself. Temple Master Bai Xing's voice sank, and a terrifying power burst out from her body, directly suppressing the entire area. The principal's masters of the Temporal Temple also erupted with powerful auras as they charged toward the experts from the 3 great Saint Realms. The 2 sides, with a total of 80 principal's masters, came into direct contact in the void at the center of Sa Island. A great battle erupted instantly. Boom, 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 boom. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Terrifying explosions rang out in the void at the center. The space above Sa Island began to tremble and shake as if it was about to collapse. Any one of the principal's masters possessed a terrifying power that could destroy the heavens and earth, especially the power of their will. Once they used it, it would be even more shocking. Usually, just two principal's masters fighting head-on, the commotion was shocking. And now, nearly 80 principal's masters were directly clashing against each other. What kind of scene was this? The figure that was crazily shuttling through the void was as fast as a ghost. With a casual movement of his wrist, it was enough to tear the air apart. Someone used a divine weapon. With a swing of his saber, the world seemed to be split into two. Someone used his fist to smash downwards, directly piercing through the entire Sa Island, causing the land of the island to be completely stirred up. Someone relied solely on the might of his will to sweep out in all directions, causing air currents to billow and annihilate everything. Any one of them was so strong that it was suffocating. And for a total of 80 such super experts, for a moment, the heavens and earth were collapsing. And in the instant that both sides exchanged blows, the Sa Island below had already directly split into pieces. It was originally just an island, but in an instant, dozens of small pieces of land had been split apart, and some of the land had already sank. The countless immortal saints and a few principal's masters watching the battle around the island were already stunned by the terrifying battle. Principal's masters, a large group of principal's masters engaged in a chaotic battle. Doomsday battle? Many of the immortal saints who saw this battle let out howls and wails. This world-destroying battle made them feel as if doomsday had arrived. This kind of big battle was not something that the immortal saints could interfere in. Not to mention the immortal saints, even those who had already broken through to Principal's masters after coming out of the Bloodwave Palace felt a little apprehensive when they saw this big battle. They felt a little apprehensive in their hearts. Although they had already broken through to become Principal's masters, they were only at the ordinary first level of the Void Realm. And among the nearly 80 Principal's masters on the battlefield, the weakest one was at the second level of the Void Realm. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 3299. This is a true battle between the strong. Compared to this group of Principal's masters, the fierce battle between US saints is like playing house. It's too terrifying. I feel that anyone in this battle can easily kill us. It's the first time for me to see a battle between 80 Principal's masters. The many experts who were watching the battle around Sa Island were both shocked and excited. It was rare to see a battle between nearly 80 Principal's masters in the Divine Beginning realm. Now that they had seen it, they were naturally excited. The few people who had already broken through to become Principal's masters in Bloodwave Hall were feeling very complicated at this moment. This is a true Principal's master. With a single move, he can destroy the world. Even though I am also a Principal's master now, I have only comprehended one principle and grasped a portion of the power of will. Compared to them, I am still too far away. How clenched his hands tightly, looking at the battlefield in front of him, his eyes flashed with a strange light. Among these 80 or so Principal's masters, the weakest one has grasped 2 portions of the power of will. Most of them have grasped 3 or even 4 portions of the power of will. Among us who have just broken through to become Principal's masters, even the strongest Light King is only at the top of this battle. Thanks. Master Ku shook his head. He kept exclaiming in admiration. Heavenly Sword Marquis, aren't you very strong? An immortal saint was defeated by you, but unfortunately, any of the experts sent by the 3 saint realms to kill you are experts in the second realm of the Void Realm. Any one of them is stronger than you. Even if you have the help of experts from the Temporal Temple, you will not be able to escape this disaster. This time, you will die. Let's see how arrogant you can be. Silver Wolf was also standing nearby. He secretly laughed in his heart. On the battlefield, the 2 sides were already engaged in a fierce battle. The 3 saint realms had an absolute advantage in the number of experts. They constantly wanted to break through the obstacles of the experts of the Temporal Temple so that they could kill Jian Wushuang. The experts of the Temporal Temple tried their best to stop them as long as they could protect themselves. The experts of the temporal temple were all good at the principles of spacetime. The principles of spacetime were quite powerful in terms of life preservation and entanglement. Therefore, in a short period of time, none of the experts of the three saint realms had come directly to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang stood in the center of the battlefield, looking at a battlefield in front of him. That battlefield was where the two strongest experts of the two camps, Temple Master Bai Xing and Star River Master, were fighting. Temple Master Bai Xing had grown to 3 meters tall. Her body was filled with monstrous power, blowing up her hair and clothes. Her eyes were suffused with a layer of white light, and a special pattern of a 4-pointed star vaguely appeared in them. She wore a pair of crystal gloves on her slender arms. She looked like a goddess of heaven and earth and was not to be violated. However, Temple Master Bai Xing, who looked like a goddess, was extremely ruthless and brutal in her attacks. She waved her hands one after another, either directly transforming into a mountain and striking out ferociously, or clenching her fists in anger, or transforming into a palm blade that easily tore through the void in front of her. Each of her attacks was extremely violent. She did not give her opponent a chance to catch his breath. Jian Wushuang could sense the existence of 3 principles from her attacks. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website My Novel Full. Thanks. Space-time, raging fire, and earth. The 3 principles combine perfectly. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with a fierce light. However, in the face of Temple Master Bai Xing's violent attacks, Star River Master had completely turned into boundless darkness. There was a gentle power mixed in the boundless darkness as if it could devour everything in the world. When Palace Master Bai Xing's attack struck this boundless darkness, it was as though it had struck a ball of cotton. It was soft, and its power had been completely dissipated. Haha, Bai Xing, after not seeing you for so many years, your strength doesn't seem to have improved much? Star River Master's hearty laughter reverberated throughout the center of the battlefield. You might not have improved much either. Palace Master Bai Xing snorted coldly. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Oh, is that so? Star River Master gave a strange smile. In the boundless darkness, a terrifying destructive force suddenly appeared. This destructive force was completely combined with the boundless darkness and the gentle force from before. In an instant, the boundless darkness became completely different from before. Hualala, the boundless darkness flowed out like a river. At the same time, streaks of dark air currents formed numerous dark chains that carried 3 different types of forces and swept toward Temple Master Bai Xing in an instant. In the blink of an eye, Temple Master Bai Xing had clashed with these dark chains more than 10 times. However, after these dozen times, Temple Master Bai Xing did not gain the slightest advantage. Galaxy, you actually broke through? Temple Master Bai Xing's expression was cold as he stared at Star River Master. 3 million years ago, I was lucky enough to break through. Star River Master smiled indifferently, and these words caused a commotion in the surrounding void space. Star River Master has actually broken through? He was already an expert at the pinnacle of the 5th level of the void space. Now that he has broken through, he has obviously fused 3 principles and stepped into the 6th level of the void space. One must know that when he was at the 5th level of the void space, he could easily face the 6th level of the void space. Now that he has broken through again, his strength will definitely be stronger than before. The Star River Master is too terrifying. Some experts secretly sighed in admiration. The Star River Master displayed the strength of the 6 void realms. He was not at a disadvantage in a head-on fight with Temple Master Bai Xing, and he even began to gain an advantage. In other battlefields, the Temporal Temple was also at a disadvantage, and some were even at a great disadvantage. Although the 3 experts of the Saint Realm had not broken through the obstacles of the experts of the Temporal Temple and were now in front of Jian Wushuang, it was obvious that this situation would not last for long. In the middle of this unprecedented battle, Jian Wushuang was the most relaxed because so far, no experts of the 3 Saint Realms had come to kill him. However, he had been watching the scene around him. Principles Master. Once upon a time, the consciousness avatar of any principal's master forced me into a corner and almost cost me my life. But today, nearly 80 principal's masters are fighting because of me. Although I'm just a saint, I don't want to be completely protected by the experts of the temporal temple, Jian Wushuang murmured. He slowly looked up, and there was an unprecedented gleam in his eyes. At the same time, with a thought, a golden light directly emerged from his body. Chapter 3300, Earth-Shaking Battle, Part 2. The golden light was extremely dazzling. After emerging from Jian Wushuang's body, it flew directly into the void above and merged with it. Buzz! The heaven and earth suddenly shook, and then an unusually ancient and majestic treasure aura slowly spread down from the void above. As soon as this aura appeared, it instantly attracted the gazes of everyone present. It was not just the experts watching the battle outside the Sa Island. The experts from both sides who were fighting fiercely in the void at the center of the Sa Island all raised their heads in unison. Above them, the sky had completely disappeared and was replaced by a vast and boundless painting world. This painting world was beautiful and magnificent, as if it truly existed. Within this scroll world, there were not only mountains and rivers, but also a total of 9 towering continents. The ancient and majestic aura of treasures emanated from this scroll world. This aura was so powerful that it shook the heavens, and it directly overshadowed all the auras on the battlefield. One had to know that the time-space godly palace and the 3 great saint realms were fighting against nearly 80 principal's masters from both sides. These principal's masters had quite a number of true treasures in their hands, and at this moment, these true treasures had already fully exerted their power. Among them, there were many domain-type true treasures, suppression-type true treasures, and so on. The aura of these true treasures filled every corner of the battlefield, but now, the aura of these true treasures paled in comparison to the aura emanating from the scroll world. The numerous principal's masters from the 2 great camps, who were at the bottom of the scroll world, could not help but shudder. What is this? A true treasure? But the aura of this true treasure is way too powerful. A universe true treasure. This is a universe true treasure, and it's definitely a top-tier universe true treasure. Someone exclaimed, and the entire battlefield was filled with huge waves. There were 2 types of true treasures. One type was born in the divine beginning realm, and some were born naturally. There were also some powerful master refiners who made their own true treasures. Although these true treasures were extremely powerful, they had certain limitations. The other type of true treasure was a universe true treasure. They were both true treasures, but universe true treasures only appeared in the universe battlefield. They originated from the vast universe and had unimaginable power. Compared to the true treasures born in the divine beginning realm, they were much more powerful. In the divine beginning realm, many principal's masters used the first type of true treasure. As for universe true treasures, there were some who had obtained them in the universe battlefield, but they were few in number and most of them were not of a high level. For example, the golden banner in Master Qinjian's hand was also a universe true treasure, and its power was also very impressive. However, the true treasure aura of the golden banner was clearly far from the rich aura of the scroll world above. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Scroll World, 9 Ancient Continents? This is the Mountain River Map. It is indeed the Mountain River Map, and it is one of the strongest true treasures of the ancient 7-star mysterious sect. I didn't expect it to be here. This Mountain River Map was taken out by Heavenly Sword Marquis. There were also some principal's masters who had extraordinary knowledge. For example, Sky Nether Master, Star River Master, 8 Treasures Master, and the others were all extremely ancient. They had all participated in the world-ending war countless years ago. They also knew some secrets of the divine beginning realm. They recognized the scroll world above them at the first moment, and their expressions immediately became solemn. The ancient 7-star mysterious sect was truly a giant. Even though the 7-star mysterious sect had been destroyed for countless years, they were still filled with fear and respect toward the seven-star mysterious sect. And now, one of the seven-star mysterious sect's most powerful treasures had appeared here? Heavenly Sword Marquis, an immortal saint who possessed one of the seven-star mysterious sect's most powerful treasures. Of course, they understood what this meant. Not only the three of them, but Temple Master Bai Xing Batsong and the others also recognized the Mountain River map. One of the most powerful treasures of the seven-star mysterious sect is with this little guy? Temple Master Bai Xing was shocked. No wonder the three saint realms spared no expense to kill him. It turns out that this little guy has a close relationship with the seven-star mysterious sect. In that case, we can't let them succeed. Batsong's voice was cold. The appearance of Jian Wushuang's Mountain River map caused a huge commotion on the battlefield. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with a fierce light as he looked at the wonderful scroll world above. "Old friend, I haven't fought with you for a long time," Jian Wushuang muttered. While chatting and laughing, he had already resonated with the scroll world above. The Mountain River map had been Jian Wushuang's most powerful treasure and one of his most powerful trump cards since his last life. In his last life, when he entered the reincarnation passage, he was separated from the map for a short time. Then, by chance, he reunited with the map in this life. Previously, Jian Wushuang had used the map to fight with powerful enemies many times. However, after he broke through to the immortal saint realm, he had never used this treasure again. It was better that he did not want to use it, but he had too many concerns. After all, the level of the Mountain River map was too high. As his strength became stronger and he came into contact with more and more experts, more and more people could see that the Mountain River map was extraordinary. If he used the Mountain River map again, it would bring him endless trouble. Therefore, he would not easily use this treasure unless it was at the last moment. When he arrived at the third sky, although he had encountered some trouble, it had not truly endangered his life. Thus, he had never used the Mountain River map before. However, today, under the current situation, he could not care less. "Old friend, show your power in this world once again." Thousand Treasures Great World, Space-Time World. The power spread out, and the heaven and earth transformed. Large amounts of space-time power filled every corner of the heaven and earth. Waves of space-time storms appeared one after another. A brand new world appeared in front of everyone. The countless experts present, regardless of whether they were comprehending the principles of space-time or not, were able to sense the boundless power of space-time in their surroundings at this moment. This world revered space-time. So rich in the power of space-time principles. The many experts on the battlefield immediately felt the changes in this world, and they were all greatly shocked. After their shock, the experts of the Temporal Temple camp were all overjoyed, while the experts of the three great saint realms had ugly expressions on their faces. As soon as the space-time world appeared, this world only existed in the vast power of space-time laws. In such an environment, the experts who comprehended the space-time principles would be able to use more of the space-time principles, and their battle prowess would naturally be stronger. As for those experts who had not comprehended the space-time principles. Chapter 3301, World-Shaking Battle, Part 3. Experts who had never comprehended the principles of space-time were unable to sense the existence of other principles in this world of space-time. Naturally, the amount of principal energy they could mobilize would be greatly reduced, and their battle prowess would be weakened to a certain extent. However, it must be known that amongst the experts from both camps, the experts from the Temporal Temple had all comprehended the principles of space-time. Their battle prowess in this world of space-time would be able to display better. As for the experts from the three great saint realms, only a few of them had truly comprehended the principles of time and space, and their battle power would be weakened to a certain extent. This could reduce the gap between the powers of both sides to a large extent. It was like a powerful domain technique, which could suppress the other side's power and at the same time increase the other side's power. The difference was that domain techniques or true treasures could be used to fight with other domain true treasures of the same level, making it impossible for both sides to gain an advantage. However, the reincarnation world created by the Mountain River map could directly change the world and change the surrounding environment. There was no way to use other methods to counter such a technique. The three great saint realms could not do anything about it. They could not do anything about it either. Heavenly Sword Marquis, what a great method. This world of space-time is of great help to us. Everyone, let's kill them. After the principal's masters on the side of the temporal temple felt the wonders of this world of space-time, they were overjoyed and their morale soared. Originally, the temporal temple had been at an absolute disadvantage in the battle, but because of the appearance of the space-time world, the gap between the two sides became even again. That's right, it was equal. The use of the samsara world in this battle was almost comparable to the use of the 10 principals masters. However, after using the samsara world and changing the situation on the battlefield, Jian Wushuang's expression was still extremely cold. His narrow eyes faintly flickered with a fierce light. He slowly extended his right hand to the back with a clang. The Blood Mountain sword had already been unsheathed, and an extraordinary aura swept out from his body. Jian Wushuang's saint-level aura was too conspicuous on the battlefield that was filled with rule masters. Almost the moment Jian Wushuang revealed his aura, a large number of people had already looked at him. What is Heavenly Sword Marquis planning to do? He revealed his aura and pulled out his magic weapon. Is Heavenly Sword Marquis planning to fight his way into the battlefield? Fight his way into the battlefield? He is overestimating himself. After all, he is only an immortal saint. Although he defeated a principal's master before, that principal's master had just made a breakthrough and had only mastered one part of the power of will. But now, the weakest people in the battle are experts in the second void realm who have mastered 2 parts of the power of will. There are even experts in the third and fourth void realms. Under such circumstances, if he stupidly charged into the battlefield, he would be courting death. That's right. Now, the experts of the temporal temple are blocking the experts of the 3 saint realms for him. He only needs to continue to activate the experts of the temporal world to assist the temporal temple. However, if he rushes into the battlefield, the experts of the temporal temple will no longer be able to take care of him. Instead, this will give the 3 saint realms a chance to kill him. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Heavenly Sword Marquis shouldn't be so stupid, right? The experts watching the battle outside the Sa Island were all discussing. However, just as they were talking about this, suddenly, Jian Wushuang, who was in the center of the battlefield and under the protection of the experts of the temporal temple, suddenly moved and directly dashed forward. This scene made the experts watching the battle widen their eyes. Is Heavenly Sword Marquis really crazy? He's an immortal saint. Does he really want to participate in the battle? He's courting death. He's courting death. Many experts said one after another. Even the experts from the temporal temple were shocked by Jian Wushuang's sudden action. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Kid, don't be rash. Ba Song and Master Hunyuan shouted at the same time. As for Temple Master Bai Xing, she could not pay attention to this because she was in a fierce battle with Star River Master. Otherwise, she would be angry. However, their shouting was obviously over. Jian Wushuang had appeared on the battlefield in front of him. His appearance made the 8 principals masters of the 3 saint realms on the battlefield overjoyed. This kid didn't hide among the experts of the temporal temple. How could he stupidly rush in front of us? Since he wants to die, then he can't blame us. 7 Leaves, Calamity, you 2 are the closest to him. Come and kill him immediately. The rest of you, stop the temporal temple. The 8 principals masters from the 3 saint realms immediately divided their tasks. 6 of them were responsible for keeping the experts from the temporal temple busy, while 7 Leaves and Calamity took the opportunity to attack Jian Wushuang. 7 Leaves had comprehended one principle and opened his own heaven and earth mystic realm. He was an expert in the second realm of the void. As for Calamity, he had comprehended 2 rules at the same time and reached the third realm of void. The 2 people attacked one after the other. Boy, die. 7 Leaves appeared in front of Jian Wushuang first. He held a double-edged axe in his hand. The double-edged axe was red as if it had just been taken out of lava. The shadow of the axe moved, and a hot and violent aura filled the sky. The axe shadow slashed out, and the hot power evaporated the air in front of him, forming a red light shadow that slashed toward Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang raised his head. When he saw the axe shadow, his pupils constricted, and his divine power surged. He immediately used his life magic power. Wushuang Sword Manual, Shi Xiang. Facing the attack of an expert in the second realm of the void, Jian Wushuang did not show any fancy moves. He directly used his most powerful attack to meet the attack. Bang! A low collision sound was heard, accompanied by a large amount of red flames that spread out in all directions. Jian Wushuang lowered his arm slightly and took a step back. However, the attack of the 7 leaves had already disintegrated, and his hand movements had also stopped temporarily. Jian Wushuang's figure flashed and disappeared in front of 7 leaves. When he reappeared, he was already behind 7 leaves. Bloody blade swordsmanship, first move of blood drop. A streak of blood-red light flashed in the void like a drop of blood. It was so cold that 7-leaf master could not help but change his expression. 7 leaves was a principal's master in the second realm of the void. Naturally, he could see through Jian Wushuang's shadowless escape technique and knew that Jian Wushuang was behind him. However, the speed of Jian Wushuang's blood drop swordsmanship was too fast. Chapter 3302, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 4, Swish. The dazzling blood light was incredibly fast. 7 leaves could only barely swing his axe backward, barely colliding with the blood light. After a sound of collision, 7 leaves directly retreated to the nearby void. Jian Wushuang and 7-leaf master had a head-on confrontation. In a short moment, 7 leaves was sent flying. However, before Jian Wushuang could be happy, Calamity appeared in front of him with a golden long staff in his hand. It was so powerful, an aura that was even stronger than 7 leaves came pressing down from the Calamity's body. The power of the golden long staff in his hand suddenly soared. Like a golden thunderbolt, it crushed everything in front of it and smashed toward Jian Wushuang's head. The third realm of the void realm? Jian Wushuang raised his head and glanced at Calamity. If it was just the second realm of the void realm, he could easily deal with it with his own strength and life divine power. However, the third realm of the void realm was enough for Jian Wushuang to show his trump card. Heaven-cleaving skill. Without any hesitation, Jian Wushuang immediately performed the heaven-cleaving skill. In an instant, the supreme life pressure, which came from a perfect life form, swept out from Jian Wushuang's body and swept in all directions. This supreme life pressure immediately pressed on the body of Calamity. What is this? Calamity's expression suddenly changed. He had already performed the golden long staff, but its power was greatly weakened in an instant. Jian Wushuang had also attacked. Peerless sword technique, Emperor's blood kill. A shocking blood-red sword shadow, with the power of Jian Wushuang's 2 wills and the monstrous power of the heaven-cleaving skill, directly attacked. As soon as the sword shadow appeared, all of a sudden, the surrounding space-time froze. Then, endless space-time pressure crazily pressed toward Calamity. The pressure of space-time and the pressure of an ultimate life form were superimposed on each other. Calamity felt as if a huge mountain weighing hundreds of millions of kilograms had suddenly appeared on his body, causing his movements to slow down. Meanwhile, the golden long rod that he used was already weakened to a certain extent. At this moment, it actually weakened quite a bit. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. In the end, that shocking blood-colored sword shadow finally collided head-on with the golden thunderbolt that he used. The principal's master of the 3 realms of the void was supposed to crush the immortal saint in a head-on collision, but, bang! After the loud sound, Calamity's body shook violently. How is this possible? Calamity roared, but then he felt a sweet taste in his throat. He spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated backward. Calamity and Jian Wushuang collided head-on, but Calamity was crushed and spat out blood? How could this be? Impossible! This is impossible. My God, what did I see? An immortal saint sent 7 leaves of the void second realm flying, but now he's beaten Calamity of the void third realm into vomiting blood with 1 sword strike? Are you kidding me? Is Heavenly Sword Marquis really just an immortal saint? The experts watching the battle outside the Sa Island were in a daze. Their eyes were wide open in disbelief. They were already very shocked when they found out that Jian Wushuang had defeated Silver Wolf in the Blood Wave realm. However, although Silver Wolf was also a Principal's master, he had just made a breakthrough and had only grasped one part of the power of his will. When they thought of Jian Wushuang's heaven-defying ability to cross realms, they could barely accept it. But now, Calamity was a Principal's master in the 3 realms of the void. He had grasped 3 parts of the power of his will at the same time, which was far beyond Silver Wolf's ability. However, Calamity was struck by Jian Wushuang's sword until he vomited blood? How strong was Heavenly Sword Marquis? Everyone was in a state of shock, but at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Look at the sky. A sudden exclamation exploded in the void, causing many experts present to raise their heads. Jian Wushuang also sensed something and looked up at the void above. In the void above, the scroll world created by the mountain river map still existed, but in the center of the scroll world, or more accurately, in the upper part of the scroll world, a vast and surging power began to condense. This power contained a supreme aura, as if it wanted to dominate everything in the world. A supreme will had also descended. When they sensed this will's power, countless experts present were stunned. Heavenly Tao. It's the Heavenly Tao. The power of the Heavenly Tao's will? The supreme power of the Heavenly Tao's will has actually descended? The hearts of many experts surged with great waves. In the divine beginning realm, the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao had always been an extremely special existence. It represented the Heavenly Tao and ruled over everything. For example, behind the 3 great saint realms, there were figures with the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao. And in the divine beginning realm, whenever an existence that the Heavenly Tao could not tolerate appeared, the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao would appear and wipe them out. However, there were too few existences that the Heavenly Tao could not tolerate, therefore, the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao rarely took the initiative to condense. However, now that the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao had arrived, and the power condensed was unprecedented, it was clear that there was an existence on the battlefield that the power of the will of the Heavenly Tao could not tolerate and had to be eliminated. And this existence was undoubtedly Jian Wushuang. Boom! Crack! A deafening sound reverberated in the void. The experts present felt as if their eardrums were about to burst completely. Heaven and earth had also been forcefully cracked open. A giant electric snake with a diameter of 100 meters descended from the 9 heavens. This electric snake was born for destruction. It represented the supreme will of the Heavenly Tao. It represented the power to wipe out everything. It also represented the heavenly punishment. Boom! The void shattered and collapsed crazily. Jian Wushuang stood at the center of the battlefield while the destructive electric snake directly rushed toward him. The power of the will of heaven. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with an endless cold light. When the electric snake appeared above his head, he smiled coldly, and an indomitable fighting spirit soared into the sky. Jian Wushuang raised the Blood Mountain sword in his hands at the same time, and endless divine power gathered crazily in his hands. At this moment, he felt an unprecedented calmness in his heart. It was not the first time he faced the power of the will of heaven. Previously, he could only escape in a sorry state, but this time, he would not escape. Since heaven wants to kill me, I will kill this heaven. Chapter 3303, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 5. Whoosh! The heaven-cleaving skill was used again. The heaven-cleaving skill, in the name of heaven-cleaving, eliminated the Heavenly Tao. This was the purpose of this divine power. Countless years ago, Jian Wushuang's master Xian had galloped through heaven and earth, vowing to kill this heaven. The heaven-cleaving skill he had created was not only to use the innate advantage of his perfect life as much as possible. At the same time, this divine power was specifically aimed at the first level of the power of the will of heaven. If the heaven-cleaving skill was used to fight against a cultivator, it was enough to give Jian Wushuang an additional portion of the power of the will. However, if Jian Wushuang was fighting against the heaven-cleaving skill would improve his strength far more than a portion of the power of the will could compare to. Boom! The sword light directly cut into the giant electric snake with a diameter of 100 meters. A large amount of electric light frantically spread out in all directions, but the electric snake was directly cut by the sword light from the center, this by the will of the heavenly power of the terrifying electric snake. A moment will collapse. But the sword shadow is not reduced, directly cut to the top of the endless void. There, the will of the heavenly Tao condensed power, but with the sword light cut, world turbulence, a huge devour all of the vortex appeared out of thin air. The vortex swallowed up all the power, only slowly dissipated after a long time, and that piece of void has completely calmed down. The supreme will of the heavenly power has disappeared. Disappeared? Disappeared? The power of the will of the heavenly Tao was defeated by a frontal attack? The power of the will of the heavenly Tao was defeated by a frontal attack? Only an expert of the 5th level of the void could do that, right? Heavenly Sword Marquis has the battle strength of the 5th level of the void? How is that possible? Countless people cried out in surprise. They did not dare to believe the scene in front of them. The power of the will of the heavenly Tao did not pose much of a threat to some powerful principles masters. After all, the will of the heavenly Tao itself had too many restrictions. However, the power of the will of the heavenly Tao represented the punishment of the heavens. To defeat the power of the will of heaven head-on, it indeed required the strength of the 5th void realm. However, what everyone present did not know was that although Jian Wushuang did not have the battle strength of the 5th void realm, his heaven-cleaving skill specifically targeted the power of the will of heaven. With Jian Wushuang's current strength, although he still could not fully unleash the power of the heaven-cleaving skill, even if he only used a part of it, with his current battle strength that was no less than the 3rd void realm, it was enough to disperse the power of the will of heaven. Fortunately, my strength has greatly increased in the Blood Wave Temple, and my divine power has also increased a lot. Previously, every time I used the heaven-cleaving skill, it was a huge burden for me and I could not use it again in a short period of time. But now, it is much easier for me to use the heaven-cleaving skill. After a big battle, I can barely use it a few times, Jian Wushuang muttered. After the power of the will of heaven was dispersed, Jian Wushuang looked at the surrounding battlefield again. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Kill. With a low roar, Jian Wushuang directly used the shadowless escape art and moved freely in the battlefield. The shadowless escape art was shadowless and traceless, which was extremely strange. Although everyone present was powerful and could sense his presence, his position changed surprisingly quickly. In addition to this big battle, it was a large-scale chaotic battle, with experts from both sides fighting fiercely. In such a situation, it was absolutely terrifying to have an assassin among them. Be careful. Be careful of Heavenly Sword Marquis. Bastard, think of a way to kill him. Many experts from the 3 Saint Realms were shocked and furious. They originally had the advantage in numbers, but because of Jian Wushuang's space-time world, the gap between the two sides was completely closed. At this time, Jian Wushuang relied on his own assassination ability to wantonly assassinate on the battlefield. It made the experts of the 3 Saint Realms feel threatened. Their original goal was to kill Jian Wushuang, but now, it was difficult for them to find an opportunity to kill Jian Wushuang. If 1 or 2 people attacked alone, they could not do anything to Jian Wushuang. It could be said that because of Jian Wushuang's attack, the situation of the battle began to favor the Temporal Temple's side. However, the situation only lasted for a short while before Jian Wushuang was faced with a crisis. Little guy, you have entered the battlefield unscrupulously. Don't you think too little of the 3 Saint Realms? A gentle voice rang out, and a black-robed figure had unknowingly arrived beside Jian Wushuang. Upon hearing this voice, Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. The Sky Nether Master? That was right, it was Sky Nether Master. Sky Nether Master, Star River Master, and 8 Treasures Master led the experts to kill Jian Wushuang. Star River Master and Temple Master Bai Xing fought fiercely, while 8 Treasures Master fought with Ba Cong. Only he was not a suitable opponent. After all, among the experts from the Temporal Temple, only Ba Cong, an expert of the 5th Void Realm, was here. The other strongest Master Hunyuan was only at the peak of the 4th Void Realm. As the battle began, Sky Nether Master first fought with Master Hunyuan. With the help of the space-time world, Master Hunyuan was able to hold on for a while. However, this was because Sky Nether Master had not used his full strength. Not long after Jian Wushuang rushed into the battlefield, Sky Nether Master immediately broke away from Master Hunyuan and approached Jian Wushuang. Seeing the Sky Nether Master coming to Jian Wushuang's side, the experts of the 3 Saint Realms were naturally overjoyed. On the other hand, the people of the Temporal Temple changed their expressions. Heavenly Sword Marquis, retreat! Ba Cong immediately shouted. Heavenly Sword Marquis, come to me! Chaos Master also shouted. In the current battlefield, only he could spare his hands to barely block the Sky Nether Master. Jian Wushuang's best choice was to approach him. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang dashed toward Master Hunyuan. Seeing this, Sky Nether Master smiled evilly. Do you want to retreat now? Is it too late? A black shadow whistled through the void. Like a ghost, Sky Nether Master appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. At the same time, his shriveled right hand slowly stretched out and turned into a sharp claw. It was continuously magnified in Jian Wushuang's eyes. Jian Wushuang instantly sensed the difference in strength between the two. He could not resist the claw at all. Seeing that the Sky Nether Master's sharp claw was about to grab his head, Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold. A crystal pearl had appeared in his hand out of nowhere. The surface of the pearl contained a layer of special power. Jian Wushuang exerted force with his wrist and directly crushed the pearl. In an instant, a surge of power burst out from the exploded pearl. Chapter 3304, World-Shaking Battle, Part 6, Splash. A large amount of water mist spread out from the pearl. The water mist covered heaven and the earth and contained an extremely strange power. It swept out crazily in the surroundings. The sharp claws of the Sky Nether Master were about to touch Jian Wushuang, but because of the appearance of the water mist, the sharp claws seemed to be grabbing onto a ball of cotton. There was no point of force, and the water mist spread crazily. In the blink of an eye, half of the battlefield was filled with mist, forming a huge world of mist. The Sky Nether Master looked at the mist world around him, and his pupils shrank. Shui Yun. Humph, boy, I didn't expect you to have some relationship with Palace Master Shui Yun of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. Unfortunately, it's useless. If Palace Master Shuyin's original body was here, I would be a little afraid. But now, it's only a part of the power left in his special treasure. How can it hurt me and him? Sky Nether Master smiled coldly, and a large amount of dark light immediately rose from his body. Under the guidance of Jian Wushuang, the vast and majestic the world of Shuyin was, that it crazily swept towards Sky Nether Master. In the blink of an eye, it completely enveloped him because the water fog was dangerous to block. No one knew what happened in the center of the Shui Yun world. Everyone present could only hear a low rumble coming from the Shui Yun world. After a while, the sounds disappeared, and the huge water mist world slowly began to dissipate, revealing the scene inside. Sky Nether Master stood in the void that was previously covered by the water mist. However, his expression was a little gloomy, and his robes were also damaged. He looked a little miserable. As expected of the famous secret technique of Palace Master Shuyun. The power of this Shuiyun world is really amazing. Sky Nether Master was secretly amazed. Palace Master Shuyun of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance was at the peak of the 5 void realms like him. However, Palace Master Shuyun had obtained a powerful secret skill, the Shuiyun world. With this secret skill, Palace Master Shuiyun could fight an expert of the 6 void realms head-on. In terms of overall strength, he was naturally stronger than him. For example, even if Palace Master Shuiyun's original body had not been present, the Shuiyun world that he had left in the beads still made him quite embarrassed in a short period of time. While the master was trapped in the Shuiyun world, Jian Wushuang had found an opportunity to join hands with Master Hun Yuan. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you really have a lot of trump cards. Previously, you took out the universe's supreme treasure, the Mountain River map, and now, you even took out a treasure that contains the attack of Palace Master Shuiyun. Hun Yuan Master looked at Jian Wushuang. Not bad. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. The Heaven-Cleaving Alliance thought highly of him. They had let him enter the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm and later found out that he was in a dangerous situation. They had specially given him some life-saving methods, including 2 beads and a purple bamboo leaf. Now, he had only used one of the beads. In terms of life-saving trump cards, he still had a lot of them. Heavenly Sword Marquis, step back a little. Leave the Sky Nether Master to me, Master Hun Yuan said. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. He knew that with his current strength, he could at most face an expert at the 3rd realm of the void. But against an expert at the peak of the 5th realm of the Enlightenment realm like the Sky Nether Master, he was nothing. He could only flee in embarrassment. Sky Nether Master, I'll be your opponent. Master Hun Yuan fluttered his robe and stood in front of the Sky Nether Master. You think you can stop me? The Sky Nether Master smiled coldly. Previously, he had not used his full strength, which was why the Sky Nether Master could barely hold him back. But now, get lost. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. With a sharp whistle, the Sky Nether Master's body suddenly expanded. He was originally the size of a normal human, but in the blink of an eye, he had transformed into a boundless divine eagle. The divine eagle's body was pitch black, and its feathers were as sharp as blades. The surroundings were also surrounded by pitch-black world-destroying lightning. Shio! The divine eagle pounced down fiercely as if it was hunting its prey. Its 2 sharp claws clawed out at the same time, and its frenzied fingertips swept through the void, causing the air to produce the sound of being torn apart. Not good. Master Hun Yuan's expression changed. The instant the divine eagle pounced down, he had already felt a power that made him feel suffocated. This power was clearly not something he could withstand. Bang! With a loud sound, Hun Yuan's body trembled. That sharp claw seemed to want to tear his divine body apart. At the same time, a large amount of black world-destroying lightning from that sharp claw came toward him. In an instant, it covered his entire body. Crackling thunder rumbled. Master Hun Yuan's divine body was also heavily injured at this moment. Blood flowed out from his mouth. Oh! The condor let out a strange laugh, and then a huge force hit down like a mountain, sending the whole figure of Master Hun Yuan flying. In the process of exchanging blows with the Sky Nether Master and Master Hun Yuan, who was at the pinnacle of the 4 states of the void, was actually sent flying by the Sky Nether Master. Heavenly Sword Marquis. The black divine eagle, which had sent Master Hun Yuan flying, shot toward Jian Wushuang with killing intent in its eyes. *T. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. He did not expect that Master Hun Yuan would be sent flying so easily by Sky Nether Master. Without Master Hun Yuan's protection, he would not be able to face Sky Nether Master alone. However, Jian Wushuang had been through countless storms. Even when he was in danger, he did not panic at all. Instead, he was absolutely calm. When he saw that the black divine eagle was approaching him without any obstruction, he immediately took out the 2nd bead. The first bead was refined by Palace Master Shuiyun. The 2nd bead came from Palace Master Askance. As the black figure got closer and closer, Jian Wushuang was about to crush the bead, but at this moment, Sky Nether, you have been an old man for God knows how many years, but you actually attacked a little guy at the level of Immortal Saint. Aren't you going too far? A slightly evil voice suddenly sounded on the battlefield. The black divine eagle that was originally charging over at high speed immediately stopped the moment it heard this voice. The divine eagle dissipated and revealed the gaze of the Sky Nether Master once again. However, at this moment, the expression of the Sky Nether Master had become exceptionally grave. His eyes were also staring fixedly at the person who had appeared in front of him. This person was a strange old man with a scarlet cape. The old man's face was thin, and he had a hooked nose. His eyes were very small, just like the eyes of a mouse. Moreover, his eyes were slightly narrowed, giving off an extremely shrewd appearance. The evil smile on the old man's lips made his entire person seem even more evil. Arg! Sky Nethermaster's voice was low and deep fear was revealed from the depths of his eyes. Chapter 3305, World-Shaking Battle, Part 7. On the battlefield, the two camps were in a heated battle. However, when the weird old man with the scarlet cape appeared on the battlefield, the huge battlefield suddenly quieted down. Countless gazes were focused on the weird old man. Most of them were shocked. Elder Darkbone, it's Elder Darkbone. It's him. This old monster is said to be from the same era as the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple, and the Heavenly Ancestor. He has lived for so many years, and it was said that he had gone to the depths of the universe battlefield to explore. I didn't expect that he would still stay in the divine beginning realm. What is this old monster doing here? Exclamations sounded from the crowd around the battlefield. Elder Darkbone, who was wearing a scarlet cape, looked around the crowd with his small eyes. He heard the discussions around the battlefield, and the smile on his face grew wider. I didn't expect that after so many years, there would still be people who know my name. It's really rare. Elder Darkbone. Sky Nether Master looked straight at him. Today's matter is a competition between our three great saint realms and the Temporal Temple. It shouldn't have anything to do with you, right? It doesn't matter. Indeed, it doesn't have anything to do with me. Unfortunately, although I don't want to interfere, I can't overpower my disciples' every request. Elder Darkbone revealed a helpless expression. His gaze was looking at a corner outside the battlefield. Di Hao, Qian Hongzi, Duan Lang, and other experts from the Temporal Temple were standing there. However, there was one other person besides them. Your disciple? The Sky Nether Master was stunned. He followed Elder Darkbone's gaze and looked at the figure. Jian Wushuang, who was standing behind Elder Darkbone, immediately looked over. He raised his eyebrows when he saw him. The person whom Elder Darkbone was looking at was the Underworld Emperor, who had befriended Jian Wushuang in the Blood Wave realm. Hey, Brother Heavenly Marquis, I owe you a favor. Now you can return it to me. A proud smile appeared on Underworld Emperor's face as his voice spread. Underworld Emperor's master is Elder Darkbone? Jian Wushuang was shocked. Previously, he had obtained the second Blood Wave token in the Blood Wave realm. At that time, Underworld Emperor had given him a favor in exchange for the token. At that time, Jian Wushuang also learned that Underworld Emperor had an extraordinary master behind him. Even the Temporal Temple would not dare to underestimate this master. It was because of this that Temple Master Bai Xing had asked him to agree to the exchange with the Underworld Emperor. Now, Jian Wushuang finally met the Underworld Emperor's master, Elder Darkbone. Although Jian Wushuang had never heard of Elder Darkbone before and did not know how strong he was, but he was also called Underworld Bone Master. Just from the importance that Temple Master Bai Xing placed on him, Jian Wushuang could guess that Elder Darkbone must be very powerful. Otherwise, Elder Darkbone would not be so fearful of him. I have lived for so many years and have no family in this world. I don't even have any good friends. Not long ago, I finally took a fancy to a little guy and accepted him as my personal disciple. It can be said that this little guy is my only family in this world. Therefore, I doted on this little guy, Elder Darkbone said with a wicked smile. This kid, Heavenly Sword Marquis, has helped my disciple in the Blood Wave realm and made him owe him a favor. Of course, I have to pay him back. Sky Nether, if you want to kill him, you have to go through me. Sky Nether Master's face suddenly turned ugly. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Among the three experts of the Saint Realm, only he had the time to kill Jian Wushuang. Although the temporal temple was blocked, he did not care even if Hunyuan Master appeared, but now, the appearance of Elder Darkbone. Elder Darkbone was an old monster from the same era as the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor. Not long ago, when the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor had not reached the supreme level, Elder Darkbone was worthy of his name. Even Sky Nether Master, who had reached the sixth realm of the Void Realm, would be suppressed by such an extraordinary existence. Elder Darkbone, although I really don't want to fight with you, Heavenly Sword Marquis must die. Therefore I can only come to you for advice. Sky Nether Master's expression was solemn. He had forcefully mustered his courage to say these words. Very good. Coincidentally, it has been a long time since I last fought. Let's warm up today. Elder Darkbone smiled slightly, appearing calm and collected. Kill! Sky Nether Master did not waste any more words and directly attacked. Screech! The huge black godly eagle once again appeared between heaven and earth. The surface of the godly eagle's body was surrounded by a large amount of world-destroying lightning. It swooped down and appeared in front of Elder Darkbone in the blink of an eye. A sharp claw slashed out like lightning. It was incomparably swift and fierce. Elder Darkbone had his hands behind his back. It was only when the sharp claw was about to touch his godly body that he slowly stretched out his hand and casually waved it. This wave was like chasing away a fly. It did not seem to contain much power, but after he waved his hand, a gust of wind suddenly whistled. This gust of wind easily shattered the space, and it also blew away the power condensed by the black godly eagle at the first moment. The attack of Sky Nether Master was directly disintegrated, and even the black godly eagle that he had formed was directly dispersed. Sky Nether Master's figure once again appeared in heaven and earth, but the depths of his eyes were filled with shock. It was not just him, but all the experts watching the battle in the surroundings were greatly shocked. With a casual wave of his hand, Sky Nether Master's attack was directly disintegrated, and even the black godly eagle that Sky Nether Master had formed with his secret technique was directly dissipated? What kind of technique is this? It's too powerful. The Sky Nether is like a baby in front of him. This is Elder Darkbone. Although he is only at the peak of the sixth realm of the Void Realm, his strength and skills are unfathomable. It is said that even if he meets the three masters of the Saint Realm, he can barely hold on for a while in a one-on-one situation. But to kill him, even the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master, the Temporal Temple, and the Heaven Ancestor can't do it themselves. Around the battlefield, many experts were amazed. Jian Wushuang was also shocked. No wonder Temple Master Bai Xing said that Underworld Emperor's favor was worth a blood wave token. His master is so powerful. Jian Wushuang murmured. He was glad that he had agreed to exchange conditions with Underworld Emperor and made friends with him, so he had such a powerful ally in this battle. Chapter 3306, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 8, On the battlefield. Because of the appearance of Elder Darkbone, he had completely suppressed the Sky Nether Master, so no one from the three Saint Realms had the time to deal with Jian Wushuang. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang relied on the shadowless escape art and the assassination method of the bloody sword art to move freely on the battlefield, which brought great trouble to the rule masters of the three Saint Realms. The situation on the battlefield was once again in a stalemate. The people of the three Saint Realms have been stalled. If this situation continues, the three Saint Realms will probably come back empty-handed again. There's no other way. The three Saint Realms are already very clever and have sent out many experts. The Temporal Temple could not completely block them, but who would have thought that Heavenly Sword Marquis would have a treasure like the Mountain River map, which greatly improved the strength of the experts of the Temporal Temple. The appearance of Elder Darkbone is probably beyond the expectations of the three Saint Realms. No, I don't think it's that simple. When the three Saint Realms decided to make their move, they must have already made preparations. Naturally, they have their own ways to deal with this situation. Just wait and see. The methods of the three saint realms are definitely not that simple. Right, I think so too. After all, they are the three saint realms. The surrounding experts casually chatted and expressed their own views on the current situation. Some people felt that the three great saint realms had exhausted all their tricks, but more people felt that the three great saint realms had more tricks up their sleeves. As expected, not long after Elder Darkbone appeared on the battlefield, the stalemate on the battlefield was once again broken by someone. Kiki, everyone from the three great saint realms, I wonder if we are too late? A sinister and evil laughter suddenly sounded from the void next to the battlefield. Everyone looked over when they heard the sound and immediately saw the void. A total of 8 figures were rushing over. The 8 figures were all covered in black robes, and their appearances could not be seen. However, from the aura they emitted, it seemed that these 8 people were all Principal's masters, and their strength was extraordinary, especially the person in the lead. The aura emitted from their bodies was not much weaker than that of Sky Nether Master and 8 Treasures Master, who were at the pinnacle of the 5 states of the void. You guys came just in time, huh? Sky Nether Master glanced at the 8 figures as he tried his best to defend against Elder Darkbone's attack. I'm sorry. I met with some matters on the way and was delayed. However, everyone, don't worry. Since the sect master has already agreed to act, he won't go back on his words. The black-robed man in the lead laughed strangely. Sect master? Everyone present was stunned before they immediately understood. The Sorcerer God sect. It's the Sorcerer God sect. Good heavens, even the Sorcerer God sect has interfered. Moreover, it seems like the Sorcerer God sect has reached some sort of agreement with the 3 great saint realms. This time, the Sorcerer God sect is standing on the side of the 3 great saint realms and is also here for Heavenly Sword Marquis. After knowing the identity of the person who came, the crowd around the battlefield once again burst into an uproar. Although the Sorcerer God sect was far from being as powerful and terrifying as the 3 Great Freedom Alliance and the 3 Great Saint Realms in the Divine Beginning Realm, the Sorcerer God sect's methods were brilliant, and they also had terrifying strength. They had always been in existence that the experts from all the forces in the Divine Beginning Realm were deeply afraid of. In the Divine Beginning Realm, almost no force or expert was willing to deal with the Sorcerer God sect. But now, the experts of the Sorcerer God sect had also rushed to the battlefield and stood in the camp of the 3 Great Saint Realms. And just as the 8 experts of the Sorcerer God sect had arrived at the battlefield, 9 figures with thick auras were also rushing over from the void on the other side. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Among the 9 figures, 6 of them were women. They were all extremely beautiful, especially the 2 in the lead. One was extremely beautiful and charming, while the other was demure and enchanting like a saintess. However, at this moment, the eyes of the 2 beautiful women were bursting with a shocking killing intent. Heavenly Sword Marquis, give me back my 6th sister's life. A cold, low voice reverberated between the heaven and earth. From the low voice alone, everyone knew that the person was also coming to kill Jian Wushuang. I know that enchanting woman in red. She's the 3rd princess of the Nine-Tail clan, Next to her is her sister, Desu. The Nine-Tail clan, one of the 4 great divine clans? Why are they here? And they want to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis? It's the 9 Palace Saintess. The Nine-Tail clan is here for her. 9 Palace Saintess? At the mention of her name, all the experts present came to a sudden realization. In the Blood Wave realm, Jian Wushuang killed the 9 Palace Saintess, who was ranked 5th on the True Saint list and became famous in the Divine Beginning realm. At that time, many people guessed that she was from the 9-Tailed clan. However, the 9 Palace Saintess herself did not admit it, so the introduction of the 9 Palace Saintess on the True Saint list had always been suspected of being from the 9-Tailed clan. Judging from the current situation, the 9 Temple Saintess was not only a member of the 9-Tail clan, but also the 6th princess of the 9-Tail clan. The princess was the daughter of the Grandmaster of the 9-Tail clan. No wonder the 9-Tail clan had come to kill her. Sorry to trouble you. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. After killing the 9 Temple Saintess, He had learned through Miss Shower that the Nine-Temple Saintess was the daughter of the Grandmaster of the Nine-Tail clan. He had guessed that the Nine-Tail clan would definitely seek revenge on him, however, he did not expect the Nine-Tailed clan to be so fast. Moreover, they just happened to catch up with the three great saint realms. Now, because of the arrival of many experts from the Sorcerer God sect and the Nine-Tailed clan, the situation on the battlefield immediately changed dramatically. Everyone from the Nine-Tailed clan, the Sorcerer God sect, and the three great saint realms are responsible for tangling the temporal temple. As for Heavenly Sword Marquis, I'll leave him to you to kill. How about it? The black-robed leader of the Sorcerer God sect said. Okay, do you agreed without thinking? Heavenly Sword Marquis die. Boom. A monstrous aura suddenly swept out. 9 powerful principals masters of the 9 clans rushed into the battlefield and immediately charged toward Jian Wushuang, although there were no experts in the 5 void realms who were as powerful as the Heaven Underworld Master or the 8 Treasures Master. The 2 leaders, De Yu and De Su, were in the 4 void realms, especially De Yu, who had reached the peak of the 4th void realm. In addition to the other experts in the 2nd and 3rd void realm, this battle strength was obviously not something Jian Wushuang could withstand alone. Buzz. Heaven and earth shook. Before the experts of the Nine-Tailed clan arrived in front of Jian Wushuang, a majestic power had already enveloped him. Soul attack. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. The Nine-Tailed clan was best at charm and soul. Chapter 3307, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 9, Oh no! Jian Wushuang's face suddenly changed. If it was just a simple soul attack, Jian Wushuang would not take it to heart. His physique was special, so any soul attack would be ineffective against him. Even if it completely destroyed his soul, he could instantly repair it. However, if his opponent's soul attack was accompanied by the charm skill, it would be completely different. The charm skill was not aimed at the human soul, but at the consciousness. Jian Wushuang had experienced the charm skill of the Nine-Tailed clan. Previously, in the Blood Wave realm, the charm skill of the Nine-Palace Saintess alone could not affect him. But now, the charm skill was used by De Yu, who had reached the 4th realm of the Void. The charm was many times stronger than the charm of the Nine-Temple Saintess. Even though Jian Wushuang's state of mind was very strong, under the charm of De Yu, his state of mind was shaken and his consciousness was about to fall into a daze. But before his consciousness fell into a daze, he had already taken out the 2nd bead. As the bead broke, the shocking power contained in it immediately burst out. Of the 2 beads that the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance had given him, one was refined by Palace Lord Shuyun and had already been used up by him. As for the current bead, it was refined by Palace Lord Askance. Palace Lord Askance was ranked 2nd among the 3 Palace Lords of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. In terms of strength, he was even stronger than Palace Lord Shuiyun. Furthermore, Palace Lord Shuyun's strongest secret art, the Shuiyun world, more or less had the effect of trapping and entangling the enemy. Its true might was not particularly powerful, but Palace Lord Askance was famous for his absolute offensive techniques. Rumble. The world trembled as endless black air waves surged up. These black air waves were like rolling devil clouds. These devil clouds crazily gathered together, forming an extremely enormous devil might. The devil might was imposing, suppressing everything in the surroundings. And in the center of this devil might, a black devil god that was 30 feet tall was condensed. What is this? What a terrifying demonic aura. Isn't this pressure a little too strong? I've seen this demonic god before. This is the heaven-seeking demonic god, one of the 3 palace masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. It's the heaven-seeking demonic god's famous ultimate move. Heaven-seeking demonic god? This is the heaven-seeking demonic god? What a good fellow. Previously, it was Palace Master Shuyun's famous ultimate move. Now, it's the heaven-seeking Palace Master's famous ultimate move. What is the relationship between Heavenly Sword Marquis and the 3 Palace Masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance? The experts spectating the battle were all staring in shock at the black demonic god that appeared in the middle of the battlefield. Askance Palace Lord was named after him. This move was even more famous than Shueiyun Palace Lord's Shueiyun World. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Askance Palace Lord? Deyu, Desu, and the principals masters of the nine-tailed race all frowned as they looked at the black demonic god. Ask Heaven Empyrean was a peak existence that they did not have the qualifications to interact with. How about Ask Heaven Fiend Celestial? You killed my sixth sister. Even if Ask Heaven Empyrean from the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance were to personally come, you will still die. The Yes voice was cold, her eyes suffused a demonic green light. This green light burst forth like a green sun that illuminated the entire world. Suddenly, the green light turned into a huge green light beam and shot directly at the Azura demon god. This move, Jian Wushuang's pupils shrank slightly. He had seen the same move from the Nine Temples Saintess, but the power of this move was obviously much stronger. It was not surprising that this move should be the inheritance secret skill of the Nine-Tailed clan. Just like Jian Wushuang was a member of the ancient clan in his previous life, some of the ancient clan's inheritance secret skills were very powerful. The Nine-Tailed clan was ranked as one of the 4 great divine clans as well as the ancient clan, so their strength was naturally extraordinary. The inheritance secret skill of the Nine-Tailed clan, of course, was not weaker than that of the ancient clan. The power of this inheritance secret skill was so strong that it could even pose a threat to some experts of the 5 void realms. However, the one standing in front of Deyu was Askance Demon God, the famous move of Askance Palace Master. At this moment, Jian Wushuang had regained his consciousness. He looked at the green beam of light and his eyes flashed. He immediately began to guide Azura Demon God. Break! With a low roar, Azura Demon God, who was 3 meters tall, looked cold and emotionless. Under Jian Wushuang's guidance, Azura Demon God threw a punch forward. This punch was extremely brutal and contained endless demonic power. In an instant, it smashed into the green light. Boom! The void trembled. Without any suspense, the green light was smashed into pieces and spread out in all directions. Then Azura Demon God took another step forward and threw another punch. This punch was aimed at all the people of the Nine-Tail clan. Attack together! Deyu growled. Immediately, 9 experts from the Nine-Tailed race, including Deyu and Desu, took action to block the punch. However, under the punch that contained demonic might, the 9 figures retreated explosively. With just one punch, the 9 principals masters from the Nine-Tailed race were sent flying. This was the strongest heaven-seeking fiend celestial of the heaven-seeking palatial lord. So strong. This is Askance Sky Demon God. Too strong. The power of one punch is actually so terrifying. The surrounding experts who were watching the battle could not help but exclaim in amazement when they saw the scene on the battlefield. The Nine-Tailed race members had already steadied themselves, but most of them had ugly expressions on their faces. Is this the Askance Sky Demon God that Mother mentioned? He is really strong, Desu said in a deep voice. He is very strong. However, this heaven-seeking fiend celestial is merely a technique left behind by the heaven-seeking palace lord. It is not something that the heaven-seeking palace lord can personally use. Although its might is equally powerful, every time the heaven-seeking fiend celestial uses an attack, it consumes a large amount of energy. The energy that this heaven-seeking fiend celestial has condensed is not much. At most, it can only use a few more attacks before its energy is completely depleted. We don't need to fight it head-on. We just need to force it to use up its strength, said Deyu. Everyone from the Nine-Tailed clan nodded. Let's go! Soon, the 9 members of the Nine-Tailed clan attacked again. Jian Wushuang had no choice but to lead the Azura Demon God to fight. However, just as Deyu had said, the Azura Demon God was only one of the skills left in the pearl by Palace Master Azura. As the number of attacks increased, the power of the Azura Demon God would be depleted. It would not last long. Without Askance Demon God, it would be difficult for him to deal with the Nine-Tailed clan alone. However, there was good news. While Jian Wushuang was fighting the Nine-Tailed clan with Askance Demon God, Temple Master Bai Xing secretly told him that reinforcements from the Temporal Temple were coming. Chapter 3308, Earth-Shattering Battle, Part 10. The Temporal Temple also had reinforcements. They were the 10-man team of Master Lin Guang, who had just returned to the Divine Beginning Realm and had been exploring the universe battlefield. After receiving the message from Temple Master Bai Xing, Master Lin Guang rushed to the Sa Island as fast as he could. While the battle was still in its climax, Jian Wushuang had stopped the nine-tailed clan members with the help of Azura Demon God. Lin Guang Master's 10-man team finally arrived at the battlefield. This 10-man team had been to the universe battlefield before. The universe battlefield was so dangerous that ordinary Principles Masters did not dare to go there. Only Principles Masters who had reached the third realm of the Void Realm dared to go there. Only when they formed a team with others would they dare to go to the universe battlefield. Thus, Lin Guang Master's 10-man team was generally made up of Principles Masters who had reached the third level of the Void Realm and above. There were also 3 who had reached the 4th level of the Void Realm, especially Lin Guang Master, who was in the lead. His strength was not any weaker than Ba Cong's. He was an expert of the 5th level of the Void Realm. The appearance of the 10-man team on the battlefield changed the situation once again. After Jian Wushuang's Azura Demon God's power was completely exhausted, Lin Guang Master and the other 2 Principles Masters of the 4th realm of the Void came to him. "Little guy, go to the back. Leave the nine-tailed clan to us," Lin Guang Master, who had silver hair and a graceful figure, said gently. "Thank you, Master Lin Guang." Jian Wushuang nodded gratefully and immediately retreated. "Where do you think you're going?" The Yu and the Su of the Nine-Tail clan looked grim. They were about to give chase. "Ha, your opponents are us," Master Lin Guang laughed. 2 other experts of the Void 4th realm from his team followed him. Although there were only 3 of them, they were able to easily stop the Nine-Tailed Principles Master of the Nine-Tailed race. No matter what methods the Nine-Tailed race used, they were unable to get rid of Lin Guang Master and the other 2. On the other battlefield, the intense battle between Star River Master and Bai Xing Hall Master was nearing its end. Scram! With a low shout, Bai Xing Hall Master clapped his hands. Space-time, fire, and earth. 3 types of principal energy stirred wildly at this moment, condensing into a 3-colored phoenix in the blink of an eye. This 3-colored phoenix did not emit the slightest bit of power. This was the perfect embodiment of Palace Master Bai Xing's control over all his energy. After which, this 3-colored phoenix opened its mouth and directly collided with the Star River Master in front of it. This collision shattered the boundless darkness where Star River Master was. A muffled groan suddenly sounded in the boundless darkness. Immediately after, Star River Master's somewhat miserable figure shot out from the boundless darkness. After a long while, the Star River Lord's figure finally regained his footing. His face also carried a trace of paleness as he gritted his teeth and stared fixedly at the Bai Xing Hall Master. "Star River, you're really something. After all these years, although your fighting style is still the same as before, your use of the rules has risen to a higher level than before. In particular, you've also made a new breakthrough in your ultimate move. You're really something. Do you think that after all these years, I really haven't improved at all?" Palace Master Bai Xing sneered. Many years ago, she had fought with Star River Master. At that time, she had just broken through to the 6th level of the Void, but she had relied on her advantage in terms of realm to forcefully suppress Star River Master. And after so many years, Star River Master had also broken through to the 6th level of the Void, but her strength had also increased quite a bit. It was just that she had not shown it at the beginning. With Heavenly Sword Marquis Spacetime World and Elder Darkbone rushing over to help, now that Lin Guang Master's 10-man team has also arrived at the battlefield, just their current combat strength alone is enough to deal with the 3 great saint realms, the Sorcerer God sect, and the Nine-Tailed clan. It won't be long before those 4 old fellows from Quiet Moon Abyss also arrive at the battlefield. When that time comes, the overall situation will be set. Temple Master Bai Xing clenched his fists. The Temporal Temple was at an absolute disadvantage in this battle. If you have problems with this website, Please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. After all, they were fighting against the three Saint Realms at the same time, so their battle strength was not proportional to each other at the beginning. However, Jian Wushuang had a universe supreme treasure like the mountain river map in his hands, and he could also use the space-time world. When the space-time world appeared, it was comparable to the battle strength of more than a dozen Principal's Masters, which equaled the battle strength of both sides. Then, Elder Darkbone appeared, and Jian Wushuang's own trump card was also very powerful. The three Saint Realms were unable to kill him at the first moment until now. Lin Guang Master's team had arrived. Now, if the three Saint Realms did not have any other backup plans, then the Space-Time Temple was already confident of victory in this battle. Galaxy, it seems that this time, the three Saint Realms will return empty-handed. Temple Master Bai Xing sneered and stared at Galaxy Master. The battle isn't over yet. That Heavenly Sword Marquis is still trapped by us. Isn't it too early for you to say this? Star River Master snorted. Oh, is that so? Palace Master Bai Xing suddenly gave a strange smile. She had already received the message that the four Masters of Tranquil Moon Abyss had arrived. A gust of violent wind suddenly swept across the battlefield. The violent wind swept across, containing a majestic power. It actually directly blew the weaker Principal's Masters on the battlefield to the side. Even the stronger Principal's Masters were only barely able to stand firm under the violent wind. The violent wind swept across the entire battlefield, causing the fierce battle between the two camps to stop. Only then did the violent wind slowly calm down. After the violent wind calmed down, everyone immediately looked over, only to discover that four more figures had appeared in the middle of the battlefield. These four figures were from left to right. The first was a short hunchbacked old man. This hunchbacked old man's gaze was cold, and there was a cold smile at the corner of his mouth. His body was also surrounded by a strange layer of black fog. The black fog also emitted a stench that made people shudder. The second person had white hair and white eyebrows. His eyebrows were extremely long, and they were so long that they reached his chin. His eyes were very small, and his gaze was turbid. His expression was also extremely cold, as if he did not care about anything in his surroundings at all. What was worth noting was that there was a dark red dot between his brows. This dark red dot seemed to contain an endless divine might. The third person looked like a child. He was about the size of a child and looked about the same as an 8 or 9-year-old child. His skin was fair and his hair was tied into a small braid. On his chubby face, there was a playful smile. His gaze swept across the crowd with incomparable craftiness. Anyone who was swept by his gaze felt as if they were being targeted by a devil. The last person was an old woman wearing a silver robe and holding a walking stick with the head of a snake. This old woman's body was covered with traces of hiding. Her body was also filled with a deathly aura, as though she could die at any moment. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.